What's up, man? What's up, man? Welcome to Trigger with Instructor Mike and friends. I am your host, Instructor Mike, and we got one friend, and the rest of the friends, they just jumped out of a C-130 that rolled down the strip. SEAL Team Froggy went to take a little trip. Oh, Lord, I'm from the government, and I'm here. Hey, oh, okay. I almost thought you were a troll. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. Oh, my God. And Seth was giving us shit to awesome. It's 2,000 hours, and y'all late to class. Oh, man, look, can't make it up. All right, what's going on? We're going to have an interesting show. Here we go. Seth giving us shit right in the door. Right in the door. All right, what's going on? Let's get the likes up. What's up, Eric? Mike. What's up, Mike Washington? And here goes Markis. What's up, man?
What is going on?
All right, okay. Want to make sure. Sound check. We're waiting on Jacob. I don't know if Jacob's coming in, but Jacob should be. We also you said you will behave tonight. No, don't behave. Live viewer never works for me on my tablet. Hey, Tiffany, how are you? What's going on, Patah? Let's go on ahead and share this show. This is going to be an interesting show because we're going to talk about the situation that occurred with Alex. I almost called him Alex Trebek. That's not his name. Alec Baldwin. And it's definitely a tragic situation nonetheless. But there seems to be some agreement and then some disagreement. So it's definitely worth talking about. Definitely worth talking about. Plus, I have a Hollywood armorer who's going to be on. I'm trying to wait. I've given her the link. She's going to be on too. Because there are some things that we could say, for instance, we may not know about that type of industry in Hollywood. So I think that is important to discuss, and about context too. So this is going to be a really, really good show. Let's go ahead and take a minute. If you're watching on YouTube, go on ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe bell hit the subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. What's going on, Bryan Eastridge?
What's up, buddy?
Sir. What's going on?
All right. Got me? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can definitely hear you, sir. We can definitely hear you. All right.
My camera look better today?
Yeah. What's the definition of better?
Man, I'm my Mac, dude. This thing has caused me some grief today.
Your Mac has? Wow.
Yeah, it's like 4 years old. And
oh, well, that's it. You already know that Apple products, you can't just, hey, here she goes. You can't just sit here and use an Apple product and keep it for 4 years thinking that it's going to be good. That's not how that works. You actually have to upgrade it and do some other stuff to it. Oh, see, just like that. John's phone went out.
Not doing finger stuff.
No.
With
the camera angles.
Angela, we can't see you. We can probably hear you, but can't see you.
No, I see you. Oh. Angela,
you're supposed to fire the gun completely, ensuring that there are no bullets. Somebody rushed it. I knew it, John. That is so not what you're supposed to do. Oh my God. All right. So we got I guess Jacob, if he comes in, he comes in. We're gonna go on ahead. See if we can get Angela on here. You all, let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up, stuff like that. You said you're in, but I can't see you. Okay, yeah, I got you, Eva. I know you just messaged me. I know you said you're in, Angela, but we can't see you. I know you got a good phone. You don't have a
boost. Well, Angela, you're gonna have to get off the Taco Bell internet.
Hey,
that might be Walmart.
Yeah. Oh, hey, listen. There's nothing wrong with Walmart internet. Lies.
Everything's wrong with Walmart internet.
I know. All right, guys. If you all want to go on ahead and introduce yourself while we're pushing past the technical difficulties, stuff like that. Yeah, make sure you all please share the show, because once we get started, we are on a roll. We're on a roll. All right, let's go on ahead. I don't care who goes first.
John with Guardian Concepts, based out of Bourbonnais, Illinois, so just a little bit south of Chicago. We do the Illinois Concealed Carry License certification, along with all the renewals and everything that goes along with that. Our next CCL class is November 6th and 7th is a weekend, and then November 10th and 11th is a weekday course. We do offer advanced tactics as far as just defensive shooting, getting off the X, shooting on the move, cover and concealment, multiple target acquisitions, reloads. If you get a chance, go to our Facebook. You'll see, obviously, the classes we had this past weekend. I had a level 1 and 2 last Saturday, and then which was pretty awesome, having some Guardians come out and learn to get off the X. By the end of the class, granted, they still got some work to do, but beginning of class, it was taking them just over 3 seconds to get out of the holster and execute 2 shots on target. Just over 3 seconds. By the end of the class, they were able to get out of the holster in 1.67 seconds and execute 2 shots on target, which still in our defensive world is behind the curve, but it's not 3 seconds. And majority of these people have been carrying for years. So it was nice, obviously, for them to get some solid training and be more effective. So follow us on Facebook, Guardian Concepts LLC, and we look forward to seeing you guys some more.
All right. Popcorn. Who's next?
Let's go, B.
Oh, I was going to say, like, let's just go around the wheel, but that's all right, man. Bryan E., full-time cop, host of the Off Duty, On Duty podcast, owner of Eastridge Training and Consulting, LLC, and EDC Belt Company, the Foundation Belt, the most comfortable, functional concealed carry belt in the market. That's my pitch, right?
You got for sure.
Yeah, just been an instructor and a gun guy for about going on 20 years. So gun guy for much longer, but instructor for, I think I'm rolling into 17 now. So based in Oklahoma. And that's kind of the gist of it, man. Let's keep it brief, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know John took up all the extra time. So
I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was ecstatic from last weekend.
That's true. We got to make up for all the other day we missed last week.
Yeah, we missed last Wednesday
because someone got put in Facebook jail.
That's not why.
Go to Hawaii.
No, that's why I went out of town. That's why I went out of town. I needed that one.
We know the truth. He was locked up. They wouldn't let him out.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to get away. Yeah, it was. Oh, not that kind of lock. Yeah, okay, all right.
Could you hear that when I did that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I heard that.
I just found out I have, like, on my mixer, I've got some pre-programmed sound effects, and I was on a Zoom meeting. This is a funny aside. I was on this Zoom conference call the other day, and there was somebody on it that was kind of making me mad, and I kept going like that, and they were like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Man, I don't know."
Yeah.
All right, Mark.
Nice neighbor. Oh, my bad. Hey everybody, my name is Markis Miranda, owner P6 Firearms Training. We do all the concealed carry training, the advanced training. We do all the stuff that everyone else does, except all right. So, and of course, we all do our thing our own way. We come out there, we try to get stuff done. We just did our last outdoor course of the season, maybe tier. We get out there, and unfortunately, I ain't gonna say unfortunately, it is what it is. It was supposed to be a defensive 1 course that actually became a concealed carry defensive 1 course because of the weather, because it was kind of cool outside. I was like, all right, well, you guys are gonna learn how to draw from the holster wearing a coat or wearing a jacket. You're gonna get into it. So, of course, we're gonna do the covert carry class next year in warmer weather. But I was like, hey, we're gonna get it in. Our concealed carry courses are by appointment. We do the private courses. We do the full 16 hours. I shy away from the 8 hours because I feel like you can get more from me from doing 2 days, but it is what it is. I think that's about it. Oh, instructor course coming up November, December timeframe. I found a place in Madison that wants to host it. So I'm gonna do the course there, and then we'll go to a local range to go do the shooting portion. So
Traitor.
you're still my hero, but you like 50 minutes away.
Oh,
with no traffic.
With no traffic. We'll still get down there though. All right,
yes,
Mike Brown with Security Training Concepts. You said Markis hit ammo on you. Hey, Angela. Hey. All right, here we go.
Oh, Angela, right there.
Yeah. Hey. All right, Mike Brown with Security Training Concepts. MikeBrownsClass.com. We got a concealed carry class coming up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday. So just go to MikeBrownsClass.com, get all the information. Don't want to take up too much time on that stuff like that. We'll have the ticker running across, so you'll be able to see that. And I want to introduce Angela, because this is a topic of discussion that we are going to talk about today. Angela, you get to make your intro, stuff like that, because we're going to talk about Alec Baldwin, watch some videos, react, all that great stuff. Angela, go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Angela. I'm actually a professional stuntwoman. I've been doing it for almost a decade. I am a licensed firearms instructor as well, and martial arts instructor, and I have been an armorer and safety on set before. So that's where my opinion comes in. Not the end all be all by any means.
And Mike, you're bringing some heavy hitters, man.
Hey, but see, you know what? That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do, because she's followed me on TikTok, and we had a wonderful discussion. I was like, yeah, let me bring you on YouTube, so that way you can add some value from someone who's actually been, active in that industry, because this is something worth talking about. All right, so here we go. Those of y'all, let's get the likes up if you're watching this. Y'all don't understand sometimes, but with social media, that's how the algorithms work. They see the likes, they see the hearts, all that great stuff. That's how they know to push it, share it, all that great stuff. So we're not saying that just because I want to see hearts and little emojis and things just flash across the screen. When you all press those buttons and stuff like that, that's what gets that stuff going, okay? All right, so let's go on ahead and dive into it. We have been talking about we're going to talk about the Alec Baldwin situation, with him having shot and killed and matter of fact, tag people in this too. Shot and killed, what's her name? Helena Hutchinson. I almost botched the name again. So let's go on ahead and dive right into that. I got to produce this as well as talk. This is going to be something, y'all. All right, here we go.
Getting our breaking news right now, we're learning more about a deadly accident on a movie set in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Moments ago, we learned actor Alec Baldwin fired the prop gun that killed one person and injured another. The victims, crew members, are on the Netflix Western film Rust. 42-year-old director of photography Helena Hutchins was rushed to the helicopter and then taken to a local trauma center where she died from her injuries. 48-year-old director Joel Souza was also injured in the accident. The movie starring Baldwin and Frances Fisher had just begun filming at the Bonanza Creek Ranch. Baldwin actually shared a photo from the set of Rust earlier today while in costume. Production has been stopped for the time being.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
Now, for the record, I think it is.
I'm Vinny Politan.
Oh, here we go. That's going to be an important video to watch right there. But for the record, that shirt that he was wearing is not the blood of Helena Hutchinson. I think that is that. Yeah, because if they couldn't have picked a worse picture, I think that was the worst picture to actually use. Like, is that her blood? Like, he's proud of it? No, that's, but every ounce of criticism that he is getting, he has earned. So before we dive into it, let's play this, because and this was going to be perfect for you, Angela, before we even begin to go on ahead and do the round table comments and stuff, because here you have it from a Hollywood director. So we're going to play something right out of Court TV with Vinny Politan. It's about 19 minutes or so, but we typically have a 2-hour show, but we'll stop it and start during that time. This is a Hollywood director providing some context as to Alec Baldwin being told the gun was safe before shooting. What's the terms? Hot gun, cold gun. things like that. So let's go on ahead and dive into it. And if anytime you guys want to stop it, all right, stop it, just yell stop, say stop, we'll stop it, and then we'll just go on and talk. Here we go.
Great to have you here tonight on closing arguments, and we have a lot of stories to get to. But let me show you an image of a young woman who lost her life. There she is. Her name is Halyna Hutchins. She was a cinematographer, worked hard, working on movies, is a mom, a wife, someone who was living her dream, making movies and having a family. And tonight, she's not alive. She should be alive. And our thoughts are with her family this evening. I wanted you to see her first before we get into our discussion tonight, because here on Court TV, we talk about facts, we talk about law. We're going to break down what all of this means, but let's not lose sight of this incredible loss for this family tonight. Now, the person responsible for her death, the one who fired the weapon that killed her, is Alec Baldwin. Here he is. He was in the midst of producing and filming and starring in what's been described as a low-budget movie. And they're out in Santa Fe. Here's what he has tweeted out, his first tweet since this fatal shooting. There are no words to convey my shock and sadness regarding the tragic accident that took the life of Halyna Hutchins, a wife, mother, and deeply admired colleague of ours. I'm fully cooperating with the police investigation to address how this tragedy occurred. And I am in touch with her husband, offering my support to him and his family. My heart is broken for her husband, their son, and all who knew and loved Halyna. This is a difficult one. This is a difficult one. This is not some murder plot. No, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about people that were at work making a movie. Let me show you the scene. This is it. The name of the movie is called Rust. It was a Western-style movie shot outside of Santa Fe in New Mexico, and that's where it took place. So how could this happen? How could what they're referring to as a prop gun be responsible for taking the life of the cinematographer and also striking the director?
I see your face, Angela.
Two victims here. The director survived, but as you know, Halyna did not. Let me bring in a special guest to try to give us some perspective of what happens on movie sets, because I have no idea, never been there. Joining us from New York, film director with Rosso Films International, who is currently filming a World War II movie called Subject A. Laura Pellegrini is with us. Laura, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let me begin first with this word that has been tossed around a lot that creates a lot of confusion: prop gun. What is a prop gun? What does that mean when someone says it was a prop gun?
Well, I think the deceptive thing about the term prop gun is that it actually isn't a prop. There are real guns that are used on movie sets. And Stefano DeFrey, my filmmaking partner, we've done a ton of films, worked on a bunch of movie sets where we have used prop guns on set. And basically, in order to ensure the safest conditions, you need to have licensed armors on set who are tightly managing those.
Licensed. Wait. Go a little slower here. Licensed what?
Sure.
What'd you call them?
Licensed armorers. Typically in film, we call them weapons masters, and they're specifically in charge of regulating prop guns on set, because any random person who would take control of a gun wouldn't know what to do. So they have to take them through the protocol of how to do it safely, so that when you fire a blank, for instance, you don't shoot someone at close range and potentially either injure them really badly or kill them.
I want to put up on the screen something from an LA Times article, which grabbed a lot of attention here. And it says a live single round was accidentally fired on set by the principal actor, hitting both the director of photography, Local 600 member Halyna Hutchins, and director Joel Souza, both were in the hospital, said an email sent to members of Local 44, a North Hollywood-based chapter of the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. A source close to the union told the Times that it does not know what projectile was in the gun. The source also clarified that live, in reference to a live single round, is an industry term that refers to a gun being loaded with some material such as a blank ready for filming. What's your understanding? What are the terms that are used? And have you on your sets ever used that term live single round?
Well, we have, but the interesting question that's brought up is what materials could be in the gun. Chances are that this gun was loaded with blanks, which doesn't have bullets in it. Let me make that clear. There are maybe dummy bullets that they replace with actual bullets, but it can still be dangerous even if you have a blank because they involve gunpowder. And there's a cartridge with paper wadding and wax, which is meant to provide kind of a realistic looking flame and spark when someone shoots the gun, because you want to produce the most quote unquote realistic effect. But there again, if not handled properly, and if not taught how to handle it properly, it can burn someone's hand. And that's where safety coordinators, that's where their job is super important, where they do need to step in and intervene.
Okay. Let's get to some of the facts here now. There's in a warrant that was filed and being reported on tonight, talked about that the assistant director allegedly handed the gun to Alec Baldwin saying it's a cold gun. What does that mean? And what would be the expectation of someone being handed a gun that's a cold gun? And why would the assistant director be handing that to the actor?
So if he said that it was a cold gun, chances are it either happened, let's say a couple hours beforehand, or wasn't tested in an open range to make sure that A, it works, and that B, it doesn't hit anyone. Whereas if it was a hot gun, that would have meant that it had been tested and that they'd have to not use it right away.
Wait. Okay, this I'm trying to understand now. So there's a term that is used on the set, hot gun, cold gun, and it doesn't have to do with what's inside the gun. It has to do with the testing that is done on the gun?
Correct.
So what does cold mean?
Cold means that it hasn't been used.
So would you perceive a cold gun as being more or less dangerous than a hot gun? I'm still not 100% clear here.
Well, if it's a cold gun, like I said, chances are it hasn't been tested in an open range. So the thing is, if anything, you'd want to test it, right? Which would then make it a hot gun, and then you see, oh, okay, we tested it. It's okay. All lanes are clear for us to use this, right?
So on the movie sets you've been on,
yeah.
What I'm getting from you right now, because this is important. All these terms are brand new to everyone that's listening tonight, except the actors and people who've worked on movies. Cold means untested. I don't know what's in that gun. Hot means they tested it on the open range and we cleared that it's safe to be used.
No,
have nothing to do with whether or not it's loaded with blanks or completely empty.
Not necessarily. No.
Is there any chance that these terms can be used differently on different sets and might mean different things to different people? That's a problem. That's a huge problem.
That is a problem, because then you don't create a unanimous understanding of what that means, right? So then you have sets.
I think we got plenty to talk about, Mike.
Yep, go. All right, here we go.
So I got a question for Angela.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked with ISI, the prop people out of basically LA? The movie prop gun people, they do pretty much every major production in Hollywood.
I have not directly worked with them. No.
Yeah, they provide the guns for like John Wick and all, and I mean anything. Right. They've got Dirty Harry's Model 29. I mean, they got them all. And there's some good there's like a 3-video series that Ken Hackathorn and Larry Vickers did where they toured their facility and they looked through all of these prop guns and basically talk about how they would have like a rubber dummy for certain scenes. They would have a gun that was safe for blank fire. So you would have some type of a plug or something in the bore.
Yeah.
And then they would have non-firing guns that they would use dummy ammo in to give the perception like on a revolver. So if they were shooting a scene from the front, you could actually see cartridges in it. Which is ultimately what killed Brandon Lee, because they used a blank gun with dummies in it, took the dummies out, and one of the projectiles stayed. So But it was a really fascinating, I'll throw that plug out. It was a really fascinating deep dive into this production, or it's not a production company. It's just a prop supply company.
Right.
And I was just kind of curious if you had ever worked with them or experienced that. So
I've experienced that, yes, but not worked with them directly, no.
gotcha. Cool.
Before we go into diving about plenty that we have to talk about, there has been new information that has just come out today from the Santa Fe sheriff, Adam Mendoza, that will provide more facts from what they know that will make this a rich conversation, because that's what we need to know and get ready to be pissed off even more. So let's dive. Here we go. Wait, can't dive if you can't see the shit. So, all right, the damn water. Here we go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office. I'm Sheriff Adam Mendoza. First and foremost, I'd like to offer our condolences to the Hutchins family, a speedy recovery to Mr. Souza, and our concern for the safety of all the men and women in the film industry. On Thursday, October 21st, 2001, at 1:48 p.m., we were dispatched to Bonanza Creek Ranch in reference to a 911 call advising that 2 people had been shot on a movie set. The first deputy arrived at 2:00 p.m. and EMS arrived at 2:01 p.m. It was later determined that Helena Hutchins, the director of cinematography, and Joel Souza, the director, had been shot while rehearsing a scene on the movie Rust. During the initial investigation, it was determined that actor-producer Alec Baldwin was the person that fired the weapon. We identified 2 other people that handled and/or inspected the loaded firearm prior to Baldwin firing the weapon. These 2 individuals are armorer Hannah Reed Gutierrez and assistant director David Halls. All 3 individuals have been cooperative in the investigation and have provided statements. Over the last few days, our investigative team has been working diligently to conduct interviews, execute search warrants, and collect and process evidence from the scene. During this process, we determined that there were a limited amount of movie set staff present in the area where the actual incident took place, although there were approximately 100 people on set. Through the execution of search warrants, we have collected about 600 items of evidence. These include, but are not limited to, 3 firearms, approximately 500 rounds of ammunition, and several pieces of clothing and accessories. We believe that we have in our possession the firearm that was fired by Mr. Baldwin. This is the firearm we believe discharged the bullet. We also believe that we have the spent shell casing from the bullet that was fired from the gun. The actual lead projectile that was fired has been recovered from the shoulder of Mr. Souza. The projectile was recovered by medical personnel where he was being treated and turned over to the sheriff's office as evidence. We regard this specific spent casing and recovered projectile to be the live round that was fired from the revolver by Mr. Baldwin. We have recovered what we believe to be possible additional live rounds on set. All the previous mentioned items, along with other items of evidence, will be submitted to the FBI Crime Lab in Quantico, Virginia.
All right, that's enough right there to go on ahead and start the conversation. So now we know live rounds were on set. Angela, go.
That's insane to me. I have never been on a set where live ammunition was allowed. And I did also read earlier that they had been, I guess, earlier that day doing live target practice with the so-called prop guns. There's just so many things wrong with this. I don't even, live ammunition period should just not be on set and is usually never allowed on set. It just, this is, I don't know, that just, it boggles my mind. It's just stupidity and lack of know-how and I think experience, to be honest.
So let's get into the debate because I've been reading a lot of comments and I've been hearing from, the NRA folks, USCCA folks, but let's stick with NRA because that's the dominating, rules, the assume every firearm is loaded, point that firearm in the same direction, keep your finger off the trigger, target, backstop, all that great stuff. When we're looking at liability, just everybody right off the cusp, who do you think is first responsible?
Armorer.
Yes.
I was going to say whoever's holding that gun.
So
that's where we're going to debate. Go.
And you know what? I was going to ask a question to Angela because maybe she can answer it. On a set with firearms, is there ever a safety brief given to the actors about the firearms and everything else?
Yes, 100%. Before any take, usually we'll do a safety briefing in the morning, and depending on whatever tool or weapon or whatever is being used, we will give a clear and concise safety briefing. I like to record them on my phone just in case. But yes, it is most certainly done, and everyone is aware of what's going on for every take.
Okay, so for me right now, and this is me stuck in my head, we always talk about what is your life worth. You paid for a low budget armorer and you had someone besides the armorer handling firearms and passing firearms to actors. So let's look at that right there in the chain of custody. Why is anyone that's not the armorer passing guns to anybody? If anyone has ever done a force-on-force class in their life, let me phrase that. If anyone's ever done a force-on-force class that's worth its salt ever in their life, know that there's one person that handles the firearms to the students. There's one area where we are considered clear, where you're allowed to be in this area, and you've already been patted down to make sure that you don't have any weapons or anything else. And once you leave this clear area, you get searched every time you come in and out. So the fact that a producer or director, whoever the hell it was, passed the gun to Alec Baldwin, I'm already stuck on a point like, well, if Mr. Alec Baldwin wasn't so anti-2A, he might have been taught how to check for that firearm when he was receiving it.
Now, Angela, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't there a lot of times where they have, and this goes into obviously with what Markis is saying, but instead of it being a sole person, there's like checks and balances put in place to where more than one person is obviously in charge of making sure that the firearms do not contain live ammunition.
It depends on the budget.
Well, and that's where, we go to that budget. So
right.
Those that don't know, for those that don't know, Helena's father, was actually the first one approached for being the armorer for the set of Rust.
Helena, or you mean the armorers?
Trail Reed.
He was the one that was actually approached to be the original armorer for Rust.
Okay.
But he came with a $5,000 price tag. And so the production deemed that as too expensive. And so Reed obviously gave a secondary option, i.e. his daughter, of being another option where they could only pay her. She could come in and do it for $1,000.
$4,000 less.
That sounds about right. Yeah, that makes
Get what
sense.
you pay for.
You heard? You get what you pay for.
Now, Markis Darby, shouts out to Black Matrix Academy. It's Instructor Darby. He says, are there requirements to be an armorer for a movie production? And before Angela asked that question, because I already know what she's going to say, we had a wonderful conversation yesterday. If you go to careersinfilm.com, a master armorer, and I don't know who titled him that, but that's just according to the document. Master Armorer Mike Tristano said that there is no degree program for armorer, but I know Angela will follow with some other information, and then we have to look at context, because there's Glock armor, Springfield armor, 6 Hour armorer, but those are armorers in terms of the slight gunsmithing and wholer in part of the specific weapon system, not armorer in terms of the knowledge of guns in and of the whole. So, Angela, if you could provide more information on that.
You're correct. Well, you have to be a licensed armorer. Technically, there has to be a licensed armorer on set.
Okay.
And that is by union rules. Several unions have that in their written rules. I'm assuming this was a SAG project, but a very low budget SAG project. But sometimes what can happen is, poop runs downhill. So they have a budget. Again, back to the budget. And the father was probably a licensed armorer.
Yeah.
And then, it's just like, well, do a favor. Lots of favors are done to in the film industry. And it's really tragic. But yes, there is supposed to be a licensed armorer for said project. And the union requires that.
So what dictates a licensed armor? I mean, is it someone, okay, so they go through a Glock armor course, you know what I mean, which essentially lasts a day.
Right.
And they're technically, you know what I mean, good to go with Glocks. So does that mean that a Glock armor can now go out and be on a set?
Well, you have to go through the necessary paperwork and all the necessary ticks for the actual union that you're a part of.
Okay.
It depends on it's IATSE or whatever the union is. I think that was on.
I know what you're talking about, because actually, so for me, like I used actually my GI Bill because I'm not a college person. For me, like I went to Sonoran Desert Institute, which is gunsmithing school.
Oh, that's cool.
So use my GI Bill for that, and obviously everything else. So technically, I'm a licensed gunsmith. Well, I can't say a certified gunsmith, because in order to be a licensed gunsmith, you got to be attached to an FFL. I can't just work on anyone's guns. I got to, because again, for ATF and federal firearms and everything else, I have to be attached to an FFL in order to actually complete the work on those firearms.
Now,
so that's what I was trying to see.
When you got your program, did you get it from the midnight program that said if you wanted to be a gunsmith, just send your $45 and
hell no.
You know, it's those persons that come on at night. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and this is what I'm always going to say, and this is how it is. Certification don't equal qualification.
Oh no, 1,000%.
So no. I ain't talking about you, John.
No, I know. I'm saying in general.
I'm saying for a fact that just because someone puts you on the set and says you are the master armorer means that someone said you know what you're doing, which means shit. It means nothing. Not to be funny, we being led by a bunch of people with a bunch of degrees who don't know shit.
Well, yes and no. I mean, you can go into the union aspect if you really want to go down that route. How many journeymen paid for their journeyman cards without ever putting in the hours to be journeyman?
I won't confirm nor deny that statement because I don't know. But I can tell you how many Illinois concealed carry instructors we got.
Ho! And I just caught one yesterday too, who sat there talking about he doing a 16-hour course and only doing one day from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that's Let's
8 a.m.
keep
to
talking.
4
Let's
p.m.
go.
for one day does not equal 16 hours.
I know
Hold
that.
on, let me take my shoes off because I can't count past 10 without my shoes on. Let me see.
Oh,
That don't
I
equal
don't know.
16
that
though.
does not equal.
I don't know, Brian. What do you think? What you've heard so far? What's your input?
Well, I guess I need to get a job in the film industry because I've got about 9 different armor certifications, and but the last time, this will frighten you. So I got called to do like some potential consulting on a small independent film here in the city, and one of my gun buddies said, "Hey, this is the guy. Like he's, you know, I'm not breaking my arm, patting myself on the back, but they're like this dude's a gun guy, and he's got, you know, he knows how to build 1911s. He knows how this. He's Glock, SIG, blah blah blah, armor, this, that, and the other. He's been an instructor for 6. Oh yeah, that's the guy." So I get a phone call from one of the union members that's like, "Are you an NRA instructor?" I said, "No, man. I've never gone through it because the instructor school I went to, you actually had to like do a lot. It wasn't a 2-day deal, right?"
Yes.
And they're like, "Yeah, we're not interested." And I'm like, "You gun hating communists
Yes.
that absolutely lambast the NRA will not hire me to consult on your film because I don't have the NRA qualification." So like a month later, I went through NRA pistol and basic and instructor, and I was like, this is it? Really? Okay. And I'm not knocking out that. I mean, there's people out there that, you know, it's one of the few paths you can go through, right? But something like Tom Gibbons Range Master, way better course,
Yes.
demanding, you know. So it was pretty shocking to me to see that. And then as far as like a licensed like armor, like that's kind of an ambiguous term. That's like, well, I'm a licensed driver. Okay, well, what do you have, a manual or an automatic, or are you driving a 1/2-ton truck or a 3/4 towing? What, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the NRA has some armor certifications out there, and maybe, or they did at one time, I thought, I don't know.
No,
But
they got other stuff, but no.
But, you know, it makes me like, whenever somebody says I am a certified, I go, well, who certified you? Well, where's that? What is that? I mean, I could say, well, I'm a certified law enforcement instructor, just as an ambiguous term, and had never served in law enforcement and went to some like 4-hour class at a VOTEC, you know, and go, well, I went through an instructor development program. There's a lot of governing bodies out there that operate like that. Well, you're such and such certified. Well, who deems that accredited? And you'll see that in the law enforcement world. You see that a lot, especially like with products. Well, I'm a certified instructor on this.
The cert pistol.
Well, yeah, the cert pistol or the baton. I'm a certified baton instructor.
OC spray. You know what I mean? I'm an OC spray instructor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's like, okay, did you develop curriculum? Have you had that pressure tested and peer reviewed, or did you go to a class? And if so, who taught that class and who deemed them the authority on it?
Right.
And, you know, you peel back layers sometimes and you start to see that a lot of things that say certified, and they tend to be a bit of a facade. Now, that's not to say that there aren't some great programs out there, but that's just been my experience. And, you know, I've literally been to even some of the higher level instructor courses where I show up with a double action, single action gun, and an instructor does not even know how to use that. And I'm like,
put it on safe.
Yeah. The put it on safe story. Well, it doesn't have one. It's a G model. What's a G model? You know, maybe you shouldn't be teaching this block of instruction to me. I'm a certified concealed carry instructor. Well, what does that entail? Does that mean I teach you the legalities, or does that mean that I can teach you how to run a gun from concealment? I'm a certified armor. Well, there's like 1 million different firearms configurations out there. Are you certified on every one? You know?
So I'm going to read to you what the education and training is for a movie set armorer.
Go ahead.
The armor
It's
acts
maybe
as
my
a-
new venture.
I agree. We got to work together, B. The armor acts as a historian regarding the weapons. Therefore, they must study exactly what weapon will be correct for the time, but also answer any questions an actor or actress has on it. Getting a history degree or studying in a person's private time can be good, but the best is to be a sponge on set as an intern or apprentice. This is a very specific type of career. There have been thousands of edge weapons and firearms in history. The longer someone is in the industry, the more they'll learn and be able to accurately bring that to a film. Therefore, it can be good to take classes in history and weapons safety. When they are learning on set, that person would have a boost to help contextualize what is going on in that specific time period. Where in there do you hear certification?
It sounds like
that's
it's a journeyman program
where-
of perpetual incestuous inbreeding of bad information.
So what you
And
got
that's-
is you being blessed in because you knew someone who knew someone who knew someone who knew someone who brought
Hey, Angela,
you
do you know
in.
anybody that needs to know somebody? Because I know somebody.
Right.
I'm
So
just
so literally you're talking about your armor based on lineage and who you've worked with.
yeah. So
Well, and that's where I was gonna say, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, yeah, I referenced obviously where I went to the school for SDI, but where I didn't get a chance to get to is that essentially it sounds crazy, but the program was a joke. You know what I mean? It literally was. It's nothing more than a piece of paper. At the end of the day, the true experience that you know what I mean you get from being a gunsmith is actually doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like re-bluing a gun, you actually have to do that. It's not one of those, you know what I mean? I can read it in a textbook, you know what I mean, to answer some questions on how to do it, and all of a sudden I'm golden.
So I read a statement today in relation to this whole Alec Baldwin incident, and one of the prop masters or assistants on whoever handed him the gun, one of the statements that they made was when they said, well, how do you know that it's not a hot gun? And he said, I turned the drum.
Yeah.
And I went,
Yep.
wait a minute. Like,
Turn the drum.
exactly. So I'm thinking, well, okay, what is he trying to say in his mind? And then they read that basically this gun is a knockoff of a Colt single action army. So I'm sitting in my head going, okay, what's the procedure? Okay, put it on half cock, open the loading gate, rotate the cylinder and check each 6 chambers to see that they're clear, and then do it again. And then bring it to close the loading gate, bring it to the fully cocked, allow the hammer to drop on an empty chamber, basically
Right.
ease the hammer down. Right. And I'm like, this dude's answer was spin the drum.
Exactly.
That chilled me to the bone.
But
I'm like,
that-
oh, this guy goes, okay, well, it seems it gets empty.
But that's what they do with revolvers in Hollywood. I'm not saying
Right.
armorers. I'm talking about actors. You see
Well,
that.
I don't
all
know
the
that I could say it's they as in like the royal they, but
Untrained do that.
Yeah.
Untrained.
yeah, but it's like,
because-
what are they looking for? I spun the drum. Well, what if it's like going whoop, whoop, whoop? Well, there's probably something in there if you hadn't visually verified it. But when I read that statement from somebody who was supposed to be in the know, I was like, yeah, it's amazing that they hadn't killed anybody yet.
Yeah.
So
And even that one aspect of even, doing, like you said, half cock, open the loading gate, spin it around to look in each chamber. I take one step
click it
extra.
six times and then click it 6 more, meaning advance the
well,
cylinder 6 times.
What I was going to say is I take it a step further. Look somewhere else and look back at it and do it again. Make sure your eyes aren't deceiving you.
Yeah.
This was the revolver. It was a F. Lee or FLLI Pieta 45 coat, long coat.
Yeah, it's an Italian knockoff of a single action army.
Right.
See, I should be working in Hollywood.
Yeah,
There you
it's
go.
cute.
I'll be right back.
Qualified.
It's a cute gun specifically made for Hollywood because those guys had real guns back in the day. This is that super sexy gun for Hollywood use.
Right.
You've seen the real coats. Come
Right.
on, man, stop. You've seen them joints.
So, Angela, what are your thoughts?
Oh, there's a lot. One, I'm definitely not an expert on revolvers. But the AD, in my opinion, from what I've experienced on set, should not have had his hands on the firearm at all. As you were saying, Markis, if I'm the armorer, or I'm even safety, or whatever, or if I'm both, if it's a low budget, I wear a lot of hats, probably. So I'm safety, I'm my own safety, I'm the armorer, but I'm going to unload show clear, and I'm going to show clear to several people and have them vocally just announce, okay, clear, 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 as they watch me hand Alec the firearm. He sees it, person A, B. If the AD wants to look at it, fine. But I'm not putting that firearm in his hand. So that's me, and knowing liability and knowing how stupid people can be.
Right. And let's not forget that he's worked with the 1911 in a movie called The Shadow. He's worked with single fire pistols, the muskets in that same movie. So what made me mad about this is that it became a call to arms to remove guns out of Hollywood. And I was like, wait a minute, time out, flag on the play. As many movies that were made in Hollywood involving guns,
right?
This is literally, and I'll go check my history again, the third time someone's been shot on set since the beginning of movies.
That we know of, for sure. That's been publicized.
Bruh, we only go with what we know of.
Yeah, yeah.
So 3 times.
Yeah.
So this is almost like making people get I'm kidding. I won't do that.
That's it. You just did it. You almost did it. That's it.
No, I'm kidding. I won't do that. But
that
again, that's what I'm like. So you're going to tell the world guns in movies is bad because of 3 separate incidents versus every John Wick movie that's ever come out has had more gun action than any Western you've ever seen, has had more, hell, a Rambo movie has had tremendous body counts and no accidents. Expendables, come on, man. Who has not seen, if you haven't seen Expendables, something wrong with you, but that's just how I feel. Expendables 2 with Chuck Norris, that was a high-ass body count and no incidents. And the one incident they had on an Expendables movie was a truck that went out of control with Jason Statham in it, who is a practice diver who actually got out of the truck while it was being submerged underwater. But Hollywood ain't saying trucks need to be removed from movies.
Right.
Well,
so,
to your point, John Wick, the first one, chapter 1, those were all airsoft guns. I talked to one of the guys that worked on set for that. They didn't use any live guns, anything capable of live. They went and dubbed all that later. Every one of those was an airsoft gun.
Airsoft is fun to use.
That's a prop gun. That's, in my opinion,
right. That's a prop gun.
That's a prop gun, and that's the only kind of prop guns, in my opinion, that I'll bring if someone's asking me to do a project.
So
airsoft.
You're right. I'm sorry, Angela.
Go ahead. No. It's fine.
Let's get into the debate. Alec Baldwin, does he have, because of course we're looking at who fired the gun, does he have criminal liability in this? Go.
Potentially.
Why do you say so, Bryan? Go.
Well, even though that's kind of like if you crash your car not on purpose and you kill another driver or a passenger in another vehicle or the passenger in your own vehicle, you're guilty of at least a manslaughter. There was no criminal intent, but it happened, right?
Okay, so let's look at the elements of manslaughter, in that though the language may shift from New Mexico to where you are, Bryan, to us in Illinois and where you are, Angela, the language is somewhere close the same. You lack the commensurate intent, but your actions that you perform, you know they can potentially be dangerous and cause death, and you commit to that action and it does in fact cause the death. Do we mutually agree that that's a roundabout?
I could read you the definition right here.
Go ahead.
It's the crime of killing a human being without malice aforethought, meaning you had no intent, right, to
Right.
harm another person, or in otherwise circumstances not amounting to murder. And murder one requires aggravated circumstances that include malice aforethought, meaning you
Right,
had
right.
intent to harm that person beforehand. So manslaughter, no intent to harm that person beforehand, and it resulted in their death, is kind of in lay terms. So, and that's the Webster's definition. So, I mean, I think that kind of covers all the bases. So
let's go there, because I tend to think that when it comes down to these situations, context matters.
That's what
I believe you said what?
That's what I was just about to ask. Because the context of making a movie is so different.
Yes. Now let's go there, because I know I got a lot of gun nuts from the NRA, and shouts out to the NRA, but not, you know what I'm saying? Not real always. Okay. So let's go there, because I got a lot of folks saying, well, you should always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Let's go there. Was the gun in the context of a movie set pointed in a safe direction towards the cinematographer whose job it is to record that scene of him pointing a gun at the screen?
Yes.
Technically, for that purpose, yeah. Because if she was supposed to be taking a picture of him pointing a gun at her, in context of that movie set,
yes,
it was a safe direction.
Now, some will sit there, and matter of fact, mostly everyone will sit there and say, who's been trained, NRA, firearms instructor, whatever the case may be, any environment outside of the movie set, because context matters. Whenever someone hands you a gun, the first thing you do, everybody, is what?
Check to see if it's loaded.
Check to see if it's loaded, right? But that's every place outside of the context of a movie set, and in the mindset of a person like Alec Baldwin, who, though he is the producer, he is not acting in the mindset of a producer at that time. I'll give you case in point. Firearms instructor and range safety officer. Should you do them both at the same time?
No.
No.
No. Why? Because the range safety officer has different observational, detail-oriented, catch the small shit duties versus a firearms instructor who is instructional. And so if we combine a firearms instructor who is acting as a range safety officer, do you think the NRA would smile on that or frown on that?
Smile.
I think that that's kind of a misconstrued concept.
Okay.
Because
I'll
every person on a firing line, on a gun range, operating firearms, and I don't care what the context is, every single person there is a range safety officer, period.
Okay. So
that's one of the very first things you brief in an instructor school, is that anyone on the firing line observing anything unsafe can call ceasefire. You're all expected to be a range safety officer. So putting different hats on people for the same thing, it's kind of inconsequential.
So
the other thing is always keep guns pointed in a safe direction. Is a simunition gun a gun?
Yes.
okay, we shoot each other with them.
Yes.
Context.
Context.
Right.
We brought that up. We brought that up earlier. B. Everything is based on context.
It is.
Her taking a picture of him holding a gun was a safe direction because that's where she was choosing to take that picture from.
And
yeah. And here's the bigger thing that I look at, regardless of context, regardless of all range safety officer, firearms instructor, whatever, whose responsibility is it ultimately to make sure that gun is safe to operate in the context?
The armorer. In the context
person
of the
holding
movie,
the gun.
But that's not the case though. And I'm sure I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna throw it right back on Angela because she's in that field. And what I'm saying is this: if we're not in the context of a movie set, we couldn't possibly imagine what it's like to play fake when we live in a world of reality. On the movie set, it's about creating realism, using as much fake as it relates to that dangerous tool of a firearm. So within the context, that's why you have an armorer who is separate from the actor, because the actor already has enough to focus on their lines, to focus on their speech, to focus on, just take for instance Idris Elba, who is not a native American English speaking person, who has to speak in an English American accent. That's a lot for them to concentrate on. Then to ask them to clear the firearm, they need to be handed a firearm that is cleared and checked to make sure it's cleared. I got to say one more thing before I kick it over to Angela. You said every person on the range is a safety officer. I know, Bryan, you've been teaching a lot of classes, same thing as Markis and John, where we say that and we see people doing dumb shit, and everybody else who is our students will sit there and fucking watch them do it and won't say shit till we check it.
Well, shit, take it a step further. You was in my class and we was doing a drill and I said, damn, I wish I could record this, but I can't be occupying a phone and teaching a course and making sure everything is safe at the same time. You stepped up and said, hold on, let me get someone to record for us then. Dude, it's even that damn simple. If I got time to record my students doing shit while I'm teaching, I'm not teaching then. So the whole thing about everyone being a safety officer, I'm with you if there's more than one line of students. But we're talking gun range. At the gun range,
I can't tell you the number of times I've been shooting at an indoor range and walked over and said, stop, put your gun down.
Because you saw
you're an instructor.
Regardless, before I was anything.
But that's where I mean,
that should be, if you are an instructor, that should be absolutely one of the things that you pound into people's head.
So wait,
and B, if you see something unsafe, you have a duty to act on that. Period.
Right, but you just said, but B, you just said before you were anything.
Mm-hmm.
When did you become a cop?
19 years ago.
19 years ago. So about 25 years ago, you told someone they was doing something unsafe with a gun.
23, yeah, absolutely. Jim's Pawn Shop on Yadkin Boulevard and just outside of the gates of Fort Bragg. I'm sitting there at an indoor gun range. And, what?
He was in the military.
Yeah. Thank you. You was in the military.
Hey, but I'm
regardless, I wasn't an instructor.
I know,
but I darn sure walked over and said, "Hey, don't point that gun at me, bro. Put that on the bench and go get some coaching or something."
So this is what I'm gonna say. If you have any firearm experience, I can see a person respecting the everyone's an RSO thing.
Yeah. So if you're putting on a class, are you not giving them firearms experience?
But firearms experience could be what we see on the range when people get their FOI card in Illinois and they get their gun and they go and pop a few holes on a piece of paper. And then when they pop a few holes on a piece of paper, they say they got experience. The thing is, you could tell someone, if you see something that's unsafe, let me know. And they'll head bob you. And they're like, oh, what the fuck is unsafe? I don't know. You see what I'm saying? We sit there and we make certain statements like common sense isn't common amongst common folks, but everybody should have common sense. You see what I'm saying? That
so I'm not saying that's the reality of it, but I'm saying what ultimately every single person on that line is a range safety officer, period.
Well, and
all the time.
I'm going to chime in real quick, and then
Sure.
this is obviously based on context. So, Bryan, obviously, I already know you and I have talked. When did you officially start shooting? At what age?
That would be 39 years ago at age 3.
And that was based off of, hold on, that was based off, obviously, your father or parents, correct?
What's that?
That was
Yeah,
based
yeah,
off
yeah.
of
I mean, to
your
some
parents.
degree, yes.
So obviously, and I grew up. Granted, I had other family members per se. You know what I mean? That taught me to shoot at a very young age as well. And most of us that have been around guns our entire lives had it ingrained in our head at a very early age about gun safety, firearm safety. You know what I mean? All the safety rules that go across the board. But nowadays, and then even then, take context of what it was back in 1980s, 1990s.
82. Back in 82.
I was 1 year old.
So, you know what I mean? Going back to that point, you know what I mean? The culture is different.
Shit.
So nowadays,
Yeah, but the responsibility is the same.
oh no, and I get the responsibility. Yeah. I'm not changing the level of responsibility, but this is where I'm going to go with this. In the culture that we live in today, because of rioting, World Star, everything else underneath the sun, you know what I mean? Everyone being sue happy. Everyone is essentially afraid of confrontation. So if I call someone out, and again, not me, but I am a brand new gun owner who just went to my Illinois CCL class. And yes, I got told that I was a range safety officer, but essentially, because Illinois CCL class is, let's be honest, a joke for most instructors. Okay. Now I'm going to be at the range and I'm already afraid of confrontation. So if I see somebody doing something stupid and now I'm going to tell them to stop, now there's a possibility of a confrontation arising.
Then don't go to that gun range.
Well, no, and I get it. Yeah, I get it. But I'm giving the culture that we're living in. You know what I mean? And especially like when you get up into Chicago. Okay.
Yeah.
Down here, obviously by me, I'm 60 miles south of Chicago. Now, granted, I still have Kankakee down here, which is decent enough.
I don't know what that is.
It's a town decent enough where they got some major issues. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To the point where we have shootouts on the courthouse lawn. You know what I mean? That's the type of
Sounds
issues
sporty.
Oh, it's pretty fun. But there's context with it. You know what I mean? So like when you get up into Chicago, you know what I mean? Obviously, there's a heavy fear of confrontation.
Absolutely.
Heavy fear of confrontation.
If you are carrying a gun, what is the reason for carrying that gun?
Oh, I get it. Again,
because it is the ultimate resolution to a conflict, correct?
Context.
My boyfriend got a felony, came up fucking carrying one.
Yeah, we get into the context. You know what I mean? Like we all teach. So all the instructors up here teach that the firearm is only one tool on your tool belt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is only one tool. You should have the art of this.
Right.
Okay.
When I forgot where this jumped off the tracks.
Well,
we're still
on the track.
Yeah, but my whole thing, if you're handling live guns, if you're around people that are handling live guns and they don't understand that they have a responsibility to tell someone next to them, in front of them, behind, wherever it is, you're being unsafe, stop. And they don't possess the confidence to do that, then maybe we need to do an introspective as instructors and go, maybe we're not teaching these people what they need to know.
So here's
because you get one opportunity, because the first time that unsafe act kills someone or injures them grievously, you've lost that opportunity.
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah. So
and I agree with you, Mike. I'll chime in. Obviously,
no. I'm just acting.
But I mean, in my classes, you know what I mean. Yes, I am the firm believer, and I tell everyone. Everyone that's gone through my classes will flat out say, I tell everyone when I go over the range information, and I get to ceasefires. If anyone sees an unsafe action, you know what I mean. Anyone can yell ceasefire 3 times,
and you have to you have to define for people what an unsafe act is.
Oh yeah, no, we do. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean we do. I talk about from handling the firearm back up behind the ready line. You know what I mean? We're all adults. We're not back here. You know what I mean? You're not Wyatt Earp. You're not freaking Clint Eastwood. We're not spinning our guns trying to throw them in our holster.
Well,
You know what I
maybe
mean?
you aren't. No, I'm just kidding.
Not on my ready line.
I know, right? Exactly. I'm
Not on
totally
my
being
regular-
comical there.
I know. But I mean, so yes, we exactly, and I know we all do this. You know what I mean? At least all of the instructors that are here. Now, granted, I can't attest for all instructors. You know what I mean? I can attest for 1, 2, 3, 4 instructors, 5 instructors. Well, I assume Angela probably follows the same stuff. I haven't seen it.
She's
So-
in California. Hers is more
Are you
stricter
really?
than ours.
So,
Hmm?
I did my research. Angela is good to go. Otherwise, she wouldn't even.
Well,
be-
no, what I was going to say is this: she's in California, so everything's a hell of a lot more stricter
Yes.
in
Well, I
California.
see.
Because
If
you
you really
probably
want to
can't.
throw the jokes out,
Nope.
if
You
really
probably can't
wanna
even
throw
look
the
at the
jokes
gun
out, hold on,
in
if you really
California.
want to throw the jokes out, she is in California.
But I'm
Touche.
in
But-
Atlanta right now.
you're what? Go ahead.
I'm in Atlanta right now.
You're in Atlanta right now?
Yeah, because
On
so
purpose?
they're like gun-toting, happy Southerners.
Welcome
Well,
to
yeah,
free
Georgia
America.
is absolutely different than California.
Happy,
If you were still
definitely.
in California, I was going to have to obviously give you shit because it's California.
I was in
Right.
California the other day when I was talking to Mike. So, yeah,
Right.
no, I go back home frequently.
So,
Well,
But
not home, but home.
but I will say this. You know, I remember as a young instructor being in someone's class. And again, an instructor in someone's class is a what?
Student.
Student.
Yep.
I remember observing an unsafe condition and I stopped the person and I got yelled at by the instructor.
who is the instructor? And I'll kick his ass.
I'm not going to say it because
Right.
I don't believe in putting salt on everybody because maybe
Oh
one
no,
day he'll
no,
learn.
you should salt that mofo up because I
So-
tell you that allowing that behavior to continue is why that person will continue that behavior.
And
So-
and because he's old as hell now, you're not gonna correct shit he doing. You don't correct old people. Old people
Yeah,
gonna do what the hell they
but
want
you
to do,
can-
regardless of what you say.
But you know what? You can pitch a little dirt on his grave because if somebody out there, if you saw something unsafe and you stopped them and they
But
got
hold
on
fast,
your
hold fast,
ass
hold
about
fast.
it,
There's more to this. So I observed the unsafe condition. I stopped it. No matter what, I don't give a shit what he thought. I stopped it.
Good
yelled
on
at
you.
me. He yelled at me for stopping the student. Hey, you're not the instructor right now. I'm the instructor. If you see something unsafe, you come to me and you tell me, and I'll take care of it.
I would kick that dude square in the
So
teeth,
again, I finished the class. I dipped.
I would-
Fast forward.
punch him in the epiglottis.
Fast forward. I went to another class, and because of the last berating I just got, I saw a student doing something unsafe, and I did this. And the instructor looked at me and said, "Markis, what's wrong?" I said, "They're laying down and they're drawing from the holster."
Yeah, that's a
We shoulda
problem.
did- And the guy was like, "Markis, it's okay. You should have said something." And I pulled him to the side and I told him the reason why I did what I did.
So
I
who
said,
was
because
this
the
crusty
last
fella
class I
that
was
needs
in-
to retire? I
And I
want to
feel
know.
you. But again, I feel you on
'Cause
that.
I'll call him
But-
on the phone right now.
I feel you on that. But I'm gonna tell you like this: when it came to shit like that, that one incident, the person was stopped, but the instructor gave me the berating. Fast forward, I never went to another one of them motherfuckers' classes. But after that second
Just
thing,
give me-
I made that person understand where I was coming from, and he was like, "I understand that, and you have to understand that a lot of instructors have egos because they believe they know what they're talking about."
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, can you tell me what his name rhymes with?
I will have to go look at the certificate. Like I said,
Oh, 'cause I'm telling you, man, that what like I have jumped in the square in the middle of somebody for pulling some shenanigans like that, ripping a student up about calling something that's unsafe. Oh, I will put a size 11 in the square in the center of your chest over
And I
something like
feel you
that.
on
And I don't
that.
care where you're at in the industry.
And
If you're perpetuating that behavior, you're not part of the industry. You're part of a problem.
and I feel
and-
you on that. But remember, you was in the Marine Corps before I was even a
I
thought
was
of my
in the
daddy's
Army, man.
nutsack. Using the what?
I wasn't in the naval infantry.
Damn
Bro.
it!
I was in the army.
Okay, well, you was in the army doing some shit.
Is Angela? Is she a former Marine? Were you in the Marine Corps, Angela? They always get a kick out. I go, hey man, I wasn't naval infantry, bro. I was a paratrooper in the army.
Motherfucker.
But I was gonna go back with this quote from I found it. I just found it because it's from, where is it at? I just saw his name, Byron Dorgan. He says, you can delegate authority, but you cannot delegate responsibility. And I have had that ingrained into me since like birth. Like, yeah, you can delegate your authority over something. So an armorer could delegate his authority to someone on a movie set, but you can't delegate the responsibility. Right? Makes sense?
Go ahead.
Are you on mute, Mike?
No.
He's just over there having a seizure. Like,
no. The way I run the show is it ain't about me. It's about sharing. So that's why I wait my turn.
Sharing is caring, Mike.
That is, you guys are something else. Look, let's go there because this is the type of show where we go there, no holds barred. All right, Bryan.
Yeah,
you've been doing this since you were 3, and John.
Doesn't mean I was good at it.
Well, hold on now, hang tight because we're gonna go there, right? Gun culture is ingrained in whiteness. I went there. I don't give a shit. You ain't got to agree. These are my comments, right? Gun culture is ingrained in white America, right?
Or Southern America.
Hold on now. Let me finish.
No, even Northern America. You go to Wisconsin and up in the hills.
Let me finish. Context, right? I don't care location. It's ingrained in that. The majority of my students that I teach are black. Now, I've taught white folks, I've taught Hispanics, I've taught Asians, both India and Chinese and Mandarin. You get it, right? Black folks, on the other hand, you got some that get it, and then you tell them about the safety violation. What the fuck is that? We can't even keep our finger off the goddamn trigger. So what I'm saying is, when you tell them everyone is a range safety officer, what the fuck is that?
That's part of your job as an instructor.
Let me finish now. Context is everything. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to say white folks are smarter and black folks are not. We're not having that conversation, but we're talking about guns, right? We're talking about what people understand, right? Down where you are, Bryan, since 3 years old, it's been ingrained in you. Before you even jumped out of a C-130 or a C-17 or whatever you jumped out of, before you even jumped out of the tower, before you got to the plane, you knew about this stuff. Take, for instance, Samuel L. Jackson. Black folks, here's this, more context. Black folks in the South versus Northerners. There's a difference. So when we say these absolutes, this is why I have a problem with certain rules like the NRA that puts always in front of it. Always in front of it. Always in front. There are contextual situations such as the movie set where if the armorer would have done their job, Alec would have gotten a clean gun because he pointed his firearm in a safe direction when he was supposed to rehearsing it, because whether the camera is rolling or not, he's rehearsing in the mindset of an actor, not a producer. He put his finger on the trigger and pressed it when he was supposed to because he was given a gun by someone whom he hired, who he trusted erroneously, albeit. And if you look at the context of us in this as instructors, regardless of what we tell our students about believing that you are a range safety officer, if one of them sees something and don't say shit and things get fucked up, they're not going to sue that student. They're going to sue us, because even though they might have last handled the gun, who has the responsibility from the beginning to make sure everything is working the right way? That is the instructor.
Were
And
you a
the
minister in a
licensed
past
officer has
life?
to be separate from that instructor, because the instructor is not supposed to observe everything. You need an extra set of eyes depending upon how many people you got. I yield.
So,
Minister?
Minister Brown.
Yep.
It's Preacher Mike. Preacher Mike.
I will put it to you
But-
this way. Always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Was the gun pointed in a safe direction?
Yes, at
Yeah.
the movie, within the
Someone
context
got
of the
killed. How
movie
was
set.
that a safe direction?
Because it's a movie set.
Regardless,
It shouldn't have been loaded.
But there is
they
no
shouldn't have been
regardless.
loaded. Whose responsibility of it is it ultimately to make sure that gun's not loaded?
The
The
armorer.
armorer.
No, the individual holding the gun.
In a context
Always.
outside of a
Context.
movie set, yes. What if
What is okay? Let me
what
ask
if
you
Rambo
this.
was like, "Hey, Rambo,
Hey,
here we go. We got Rambo with the M60 now.
Let-
You know
let
what
me
the
a-
M60
okay.
is, Bryan.
Let's change it up. Rambo, what was his signature weapon?
The M60.
No, a knife, right?
Oh,
Right?
man.
A knife.
All right. Okay.
So if I'm the prop director and I hand him a live blade and he shoves it through someone's neck,
Well,
who is ultimately responsible to make sure that that was not a live weapon?
The person who
Was
gave
it
it
the
to
prop
Rambo.
director, or was it the guy to go, "Oh shit, that's a real knife"? No, we don't use that for this. You can
Prop
abdicate
director.
authority, you can't abdicate responsibility.
But you're
Prop
talking
director.
apples versus oranges, a knife versus a firearm, which
Same
requires close
thing.
contacts. That's not the same thing.
It's
When you're
exactly the
talking about-
same thing.
Okay, let's take off the knife. Let's go to the M60. You gave me the right one. All right. Oh, wait. Lights, camera. Hold on for a minute. You just open up the feed tray and then make sure these are live rounds and not blank. Put it back in.
Absolutely.
You have never seen Sylvester Stallone do that. Stop that. Don't
Yes,
do
go
that.
ahead.
Don't do that, because then you're trying to abdicate. You're trying to take the responsibility away from the armorer. Angela, we had this conversation yesterday, and you even said it. I would not trust an actor or an actress to know anything about guns. The liability resides within you.
Yes, that's why I'm there. That's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Like, matter of fact, I hate to, like, someone mentioned Tackleberry, right? There's a scene on Police Academy that most people don't realize how gangster Tackleberry really was. Remember, they was going through the combat town, and the chubby dude shot the girl, shot the innocent victim.
Yeah.
And he turned around with the shotgun, and everyone else ducked, and Tackleberry was like, and never moved. The reason why Tackleberry never moved is because dude never said after his first shot. So again, ingrained and knowledge and context changes all things. So I feel like this: when it comes to the person on the set, when it comes to weapons, the armorer is the smartest person on the set.
We've already disputed that they're not.
No.
We've already proven that over and over again
I'm
ad
not
nauseum.
saying-
Yeah, no. We
In
proved that-
reality-
yes, we proved that they're not always the smartest, but essentially they still hold all the responsibility of being the smartest and all the liability of being the smartest.
Liability and
Exactly.
responsibility are different. So let me ask you this.
Sure.
If I hand you the keys to my car and you drive out of the parking lot and you kill someone with that car, now I'm the owner.
Your fault.
Your fault.
Your
I'm the
fault.
owner.
Pete.
Your fault.
Your fault.
Now you're a
Your fault.
quote
No.
licensed driver.
Your fault.
Whose fault
Your
is
fault.
Well, hold on. You added the caveat, no context. You added the context that I'm a licensed driver. That was not your original question.
it? Let's
You
say
asked
let's say
me-
you loan your car to your girlfriend to go, I don't know, go to the store and get a six-pack and she runs somebody over. Are you guilty of manslaughter or is she?
Hold on. Within the context of that, I know she's already licensed. We've been on several trips before, so I can establish, and I've got
Okay.
plenty of videos in the car with us driving.
Not sure I want to see your car
that
videos.
She has driven across country and has not killed someone. Therefore, because she is a licensed driver, the liability rests on her. Now, insurance, they're going to try to sue me.
Right.
But in terms of the actions that took place in the car, Those actions are hers and hers alone.
So in terms of the actions of someone handling a firearm, who's ultimately responsible for that?
Get Jacob right there.
Hold on. You said, hold on. Now you said, I got Jacob. Hold on. You said in terms of actors, but is there a requirement? You said driver. So here we go. Within the state of anywhere in the United States, in terms of operating upon a actual highway, I don't know about country and off-road, whatever the case may be, but it is required that you go through a course of instruction and prove yourself to the government entity before you obtain that driver's license, before you operate that vehicle. But within the context of a movie set, is it required that they actually go through a course, which segues to Jacob's statement? Maybe if all actors who handle firearms were required to take a firearm safety class first, this wouldn't be a problem. And Jacob, I would disagree, because there are plenty of people who take classes and still have negligent incidences. So a class ipso facto does not ensure that you would be free of negligence, because these are perishable skills. The discipline resides within you. That's just like saying, oh my God, I finally lost weight, I'll never be fat again. That's a fucking lie, because as soon as I stop going to the gym and sit here and make Dunkin' Donuts my Lord and Savior, I'm gonna fucking get
so
fat.
Ultimately what you're saying is, what you've just said is completely in line with my argument.
No, it's not.
Not on a movie set.
Not a
movie.
Context.
Hey, guess what? My point is this: you're saying, well, if they took it, the responsibility, and they would have these perishable skills. So who are you placing the responsibility on?
The armorer.
The person taking it, right?
Armorer.
That's what you just said.
But here we go.
Armorer.
There is no requirement. Now, here we go. Let's provide more context. My favorite movie, I told you, Angela. Here we go. Tears of the Sun, right? Not even just Tears of the Sun, right?
You know, that's not a documentary, right?
But I'm going to go with the Tears of the Sun, right? It depends on how much time that actor is going to have gunplay on screen and what role they are trying to portray, where they would have to go through a weapons and tactics familiarization course. All those guys went to Coronado and had Navy SEALs train them in tactics, bounding Overwatch, the different weapons that the SEALs use to give it a level of authenticity because of the director, Antoine Fuqua.
Got a question for you, Michael. I got a really good question for you. How many hours of training do you not have to have before you abdicate responsibility? How many hours of training do you have to have before you take on responsibility?
That's a great question. The answer is context.
I don't see any context. I don't see any certification that abdicates responsibility at all.
Here's the issue, Bryan. And I love it that you're here. Here is the issue. Before, in a previous show, you said you don't deal with hypotheticals, but guess who deals with hypotheticals? The triers of fact. Judges, I don't say juries, that's the public, and then the law. The law deals with hypotheticals. Those who go beyond the curriculum, who immerse themselves in case law, understand that state Supreme Courts, appellate courts, and lawyers deal in the gray. They deal with the hypotheticals. Context matters. And I guarantee you, Alec Baldwin, if he is charged, he can afford an OJ-style lawyer who will find the context. And it ain't got shit to do with his anti-gun position. It has everything to do with the context of the movie set.
Does that mean he abdicates responsibility from ultimately taking someone's life?
Well, no. Civil liability.
There it is.
Hold on. But you're talking about responsibility. That's a broad term. Right now, we're talking about criminal. We haven't dived into civil liability, where in civil liability, he absolutely has responsibility under the doctrine of respondeat superior, which is Latin for let the master answer for the actions of the subordinate. The subordinate is the armorer. The master is the producer. So civilly, he is liable. But criminally, he bears no liability because he delegated that responsibility to someone who stated she was an armorer. Now, civilly,
So
he should
you
have
can
checked the
delegate
credentials.
authority, not responsibility.
But you can have a responsibility and not be able to respond. I'm going to go there. If a dick don't get hard, you can't fuck. I'm just saying.
Oh, I beg to differ.
Hold on.
I mean, I'm 42 now.
Sorry, Angela. Keep going. I yield. Go ahead, guys. I'm controversial.
Let me just tape this pencil on it and let me take this controller. Yeah, right. Girl, you forget all this. Hold on. Right. Get all this right here, girl.
This moment has been brought to.
Put your shoulder up in it. What are you having?
I'm just saying.
The tape got wet. Hold up. The tape got wet. We got to put that back on.
Right.
My point is just this. You can blame whoever, but ultimately, who's responsible for the gun that was in his hand?
The armorer.
Him.
No. Armorer.
Well, then in that case, then I could go to the police department and go, here's my pistol, armorer.
What context? Are you just going to walk into a police station, pull out your pistol, and give it to him?
Well, that ultimately what you're saying when you say that he's abdicating responsibility is, well, all I got to do is go to a movie set and grab a gun from an armorer, and if I kill somebody with it, I have no responsibility for that.
No,
I don't feel that way at all.
Who is the person going to this erroneous? Who is this person just going to this random movie set with Mr. Markis on scene, and then you find out you're in the wrong room? You should be going next door where Sylvester Stallone is. And I'm just saying.
Let's look at the law.
Go ahead.
It's causing the. Go ahead.
There's all the legal documents that are already covered as far as a movie going. TV production, whatever it is, you are under a contract, and there is still that hierarchy, and that is the armorer's job. Because when I'm putting that firearm in this person's hand, they might not know shit from Shinola, or they might be like Will Smith and might actually know how to manipulate a firearm and check it.
But that would be extra.
Yes, and that would be fantastic.
So what degree of negligence do you possess for handing someone that has no idea how to operate a firearm?
High degree, armorer.
A high degree, because under the contractual agreement, you're taking full responsibility for the actions of every one of those pieces of equipment that you're responsible for.
Yes, and then there are people, you have to be bonded and you have to be licensed, and there's all these things that go on with productions. Like stunt coordinators have to be bonded, and if it's a certain budget, I can't be the stunt coordinator by myself. I have to have 2, maybe 3 people total. If it's like a $50 million film, I cannot come as a stunt coordinator.
Right.
Well, think about it this way. We're all instructors. What is I will say this, but I say it loosely. What is every instructor required to have to go use someone else's range?
Shit, insurance. Oh my
insurance.
God.
So if someone gets shot at Eagle and they're your student and they get shot because someone to the left or right of them accidentally shot them, who's liable?
Civilly, civilly you are.
The instructor.
Civilly
criminally,
you are, but they're still going to try to sue everyone.
Right, but criminally, who's liable? Who's ultimately responsible?
It depends on the context of what occurred.
Whoever's holding that gun.
No, because
whoever's driving that car.
I was specific. I said a person to the left or right shot my student while they were with me at the range.
Yeah, you're civilly liable for that, but criminally liable, whoever the person to the left or right that shot him is ultimately responsible for that. They may not have intended to, but if they caused harm or death, they're ultimately responsible for that.
It depends on the context.
No context.
Hold on, here we go. Context. What kind of range are we on? Because Bryan and John, you all are in open ranges in essence, where you've got no dividers in the different stalls. Where Markis and I go to, at times, There is a divider, a ballistic divider. So for that person to then go around the ballistic divider to then shoot, yes, they're going to be criminally responsible because they took steps to carry it out knowing they had to do that. See, context matters.
If I'm on an open bay, which John shot with me on an open bay, and somebody on the right side of the range shoots somebody on the right side of the range next to him, I may be civilly liable. I may have to defend my civil position about all the safety that I implemented, etc. But the ultimate responsibility of who fired the shot comes from whoever fired the shot. And that's I can kind of understand the point of the context of a movie set, but you cannot just assume or place that there is no responsibility on the person who is handling a firearm for them to handle it safely. It is ultimately theirs.
No responsibility.
That's where we actually, as instructors, and just as for as let's be honest, gun guys, we tend to hold everyone to a higher standard.
That's the law.
Well, no, but see, I get
not
as far as the law goes.
Hey,
as far as Alec, like I even said it a couple of times where Alec should have checked to make sure that the firearm was unloaded. You know what I mean?
How though? If you don't know how to operate,
I know, and I get, and so this is where I was getting ready to go to. You know what I mean? Obviously, we know Alec is an anti-gun nut. You know what I mean? Yes, he's handled a couple of guns in a couple other movies, but by no means does that make him a gun guy. You know what I mean? The other guns he handled, for the most part, was a long gun and a freaking 1911. So, which is completely different than a wheel gun.
Right.
Okay? Let's be honest.
It's completely different than a single action wheel gun.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I mean, yes, then you get into that context. So, yes, and as an instructor, do I think, yes, actors should be, following the normal safety rules. And even though you hired someone, to do the job, there is a safety aspect of, yes, go through and check Anthony. Go through and check your shit and make sure that, everyone's safety is paramount. But we don't live in that day and age. We live in a day and age where actors are higher than mighty, and the world needs to kiss the ground that they walk on, and that when they sign a contract with someone to make sure that their firearms are completely unloaded, that all the responsibility falls on that arm.
But you know, one thing.
Go
ahead, Markis. Go ahead.
I was going to say, let's take it a step further. Let's not pretend we don't live in a world where the word affluenza exists, where a person's lack of knowing something or being too sheltered because they're too rich, they can be what you call removed from a situation. Let's not pretend there was a 16-year-old boy who was drunk and high, killed 3 to 4 people on the highway, and got off because they said he lived a sheltered, rich life without consequence.
That doesn't make it right.
Now you're going to morality. And so that's a different
And if I'm right or wrong, it's about the law. You just said it was the law.
And then let's go so far as this. Those of us who have been in law enforcement, right? How many times do we sit here and want to arrest this person, but politics gets in the way? There is your job.
0 times.
Where you are okay. That's fine. Where you are okay, right? Same thing where Angela is. You all are in Republican states where they support that. Context matters. We in Chicago, shit, you know how many arrests I've had to overturn or arrests I've made and got to court and had to drop because of politics? Chicago cops are dealing with the stuff where they don't even have the freedom of choice to the Axvay and reporting and other kind of, watch it, Markis. I see your eyes. It was there. Like you crossing the line. I got it. Let me shut up for this whole thing.
Right. Remember, no Charlie Oscar Victor India Deltas.
That's it. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is this,
just call it the Heineken AIDS.
Okay, fair enough. You got it. I did. Oh Lord.
Heineken, no.
You all are placing a higher standard on an industry that does not regulate a higher standard. You're placing reality on make-believe. You got actors who portray characters they're not even in real life. What's the purpose of having the the Industrial Light and Magic Company, which is to my recollection, the highest company that's responsible for a lot of CGI and wonderful effects and things that make you, oh my God, that really happened? No, the fuck it didn't. And these people who are portraying these things, they don't have to know anything about, oh my God, well, this is a green screen. And what we're going to do is when you go behind, we're going to go ahead and press Control, Alt, Delete. And we're going to go ahead and do this and do that. That's not their job. Their job is just to act the fucking role. And if I'm supposed to point that gun at the camera just like this and press that damn trigger, and you're the cinematographer and you're supposed to film it, well, shit, I'm going to have to point a gun at you. And it's not my job to make sure it's clear. It's the armor's job to make sure it's clear. Because I don't like guns. But when I'm on that camera, motherfucker.
So let's switch gears a little bit. I got a question.
Go ahead.
So, having worked for an agency that's had an officer who was killed by a blank in a Model 65 revolver in a scenario-based training, they got into an entanglement and pow! Right, this has been 40 plus years ago, but his plaque is still in the training facility, which is why we don't use blanks in training anymore. How prevalent, Angela, because you're a subject matter expert on this, how prevalent is the use of blank fire in movie sets? As opposed to the new CGI stuff, right?
Well, I touched on this for briefly with Mike the other day. What I personally have run into is that a lot of directors or producers want the real look, because when you have, and it's super cringe, and I get it, is when you have an actor and they have to pretend to have the recoil, and it's awful. It's typically awful, and I understand that. But that's why I like at least airsoft, because you have kind of like a feel for it. But a lot of people do like to have the blanks because it gives the muzzle flash, and then you have the recoil a little bit. And it's like,
so with that, which is kind of, I was leading you to that. With that, are there additional safety protocols for blanks versus?
Well, I've never brought blanks to any sets.
I got you.
So for me, if I personally was an armorer and they had blanks, I would probably either not come on, or I would just insist that we swap them out. I just personally, I've only worked with blanks when they've been capped.
Gotcha.
And that's the only way I will work with blanks personally.
With
That's the only way to have a live firearm on set, unless they're dummy rounds. And even munitions, like sim rounds, still suck. Like you can't just shoot people with them.
You can, you just shouldn't.
Right. You can, yes, but they suck really bad, like super bad. So I'm not gonna put an actor there to get shot by a sim round, because actors, like, just no, not good. But
I was just showing some of my sim scars. Yay, they're fun.
Yeah. So, but to my knowledge, most of the time now, it is a prop, what I would call a prop, which is an airsoft rifle.
Something inert.
Yeah. Right. And I believe they actually have airsoft rifles now, or even, I don't know, maybe paintball to that extent, that they don't have a muzzle flash. No, but they can actually eject a casing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people specifically look for that, and it's just, it comes down to the director and the producer and what they want to see and how real they want, and that's a whole offshoot of another rabbit hole, where maybe they should have a little bit more information as well, because you get super real, then you get super real effects, like I don't know, someone getting shot.
Yeah, like for example, real or fake?
Yes.
Don't show it.
Exactly.
Hold on, put it down because you
know what I'm saying? Real or fake?
Hey, I don't know, but it looks real. I mean, I know. I'm just saying. There you go.
I'm like,
Fake.
I couldn't even see it.
I'm glad you did that quickly.
Oh yeah.
YouTube will
Yeah.
definitely kill the feed.
And that was all it was.
Yeah, and I have those. I have several of those, and they have the little orange tip. All you have to do is pop it off.
Yep.
And it looks great.
Let me show you this to directly contradict the comment that you guys see on scene, not on scene, on the screen. Even on the set, they don't directly aim at other people. Oh, this is one of my favorite shows, and I gotta show you because it's gonna be funny. Here we go. SNL. Now hold on. This ain't Hollywood. Let's watch.
All right, let's challenge your gun knowledge. There were 8 guns in that. So there's only 4 models of gun in that. Can anybody name all 4? And one of them is deceptive.
Yeah, you're talking about, you said the models, the makes and models?
Mm-hmm.
In my defense, I was typing to someone on Facebook, so I.
Oh yeah, okay, sure.
They only showed them like 10 times, so
Right.
it's whatever. It's whatever.
No, you can go.
So you
look.
got Smith & Wesson Model 66.
Eh.
I'm talking about the revolvers.
I really don't care.
I was wondering actually just for cheating the cameras.
Fair enough. So you ready? Here's how like circus trick I get. There were 2 SIG P229s. There were 2 Taurus PT92s. You know how I know they were PT92s? Frame mounted safeties. The guy carrying the nickel looked like Beretta 92s. Those are Taurus PT92s. 2 Ruger GP100s that you thought were model Smith &
66.
Wessons. Yeah, model 66s. Those were GP100s. You could see by the cylinder latch release on the left side.
Okay.
And then 2 1911s. We all saw the 1911s, right?
Oh, but what's the make of the 1911 though?
That makes pretty inconsequential. But if you really want to wax intellectual about it, those appeared by the roll markings to be Remingtons. I couldn't read it, but just based on the size and the location of the roll marks, I'd say they were Remingtons or mock-ups thereof.
In fairness, you have been in a gun shop since 3.
No, I was in a gun shop from 7 to 9.
I was
The
getting
rest
my
of this
ass
is
whooped
just
by my mom at 9. So there's
the rest of this just has been a lifelong study, which is why in our last podcast I said, if you really want to be a good instructor, you need to take a master's degree deep dive into the gun, right? Like all the guns, like everything you're going to teach, like with handguns. My girlfriend constantly says, man, it's like a circus trick. We can watch a movie and you can be like, oh, look, it's a SIG 228. You see how the slide's beveled like this? But when the mag came out, it was a 9mm stack and not a 40 stack, because it was a 40 stack. It's a 229. That kind of stuff. When you get to that level of understanding and you really dive in deep, there's not a person that's going to show up to one of your classes that you're going to feel intellectually challenged by what they're shooting and how to operate it.
I like being intellectually challenged. That just means we both learn together.
But
you're right, though, Bryan. You're right.
I'm just trying to figure out when Trump is going to go on SNL to be Alec Baldwin, pretending that he's the actor from Rust.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
That's what I want to see.
That would be amazing.
I just got a meme from one of my friends with Alec Baldwin with a teardrop.
Yes,
I saw that one.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah.
I'm just ready for these guys to come back for season 10.
What the hell?
Letterkenny.
Oh yeah,
I've never seen it. No.
Oh, it's Canadian television.
Show. It's such a once you touch one episode, it's over. It's
I got to run subtitles though. They talk too fast.
Right.
Well, this was a great
stuff that I've even been in. I haven't
This was still a great conversation. It definitely went there. I would have to say that for the most part, I think we agreed to disagree. But it's going to be interesting to see how this case comes out, because I see Alec Baldwin, if he gets charged, well, that I know he won't, but if he got charged, I would see him being acquitted.
Yeah,
civilly, perhaps.
No, civilly,
no, probably not.
Civilly, civilly, they're done. Yeah.
but I think of it like I have a friend that works in that area that knows the some of the hierarchy of the prosecutor's office out there.
Yeah.
And he's like, they're all very far left, which I care less about your political beliefs, whatever. But they're like, yeah, this has kind of gotten, dumped in their lap in what could be considered the ultimate like 2A challenge, right? Like, oh, well, here's a guy that had a gun. So
I know what you're talking about, Anthony.
So it's, but I don't think he'll be charged. I mean, and if he did, they would give him some, nickel plea bargain and send him on his way.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Go to high schools and tell them guns bad, actors good, whatever.
But Anthony, I think that there was a discussion that was going on. But go ahead, Markis. Go ahead. It's in there.
No, and the thing is, if you look at what happened with Alec Baldwin and how it's being portrayed right now, they're not putting anything on him.
Mm-mm.
Well,
which is kind of
we didn't let that video play out because
the 20-minute one.
Yeah,
thank God.
No, that's okay. Because I listened to it like 5 times. If we had let the video play out, they're not taking anybody off the table yet.
But they're definitely not putting him on.
They're definitely not putting him on.
They're definitely not putting him on the table, though. So my thing is this: right. In reality, is going to be one of those things where usually ignorance does not equal being excused from the law, from knowing the law.
And one of the reporters asked the question that negligence doesn't ultimately rise to the level of criminal negligence.
Exactly. So when you look at negligence on our standpoint, a lot of us firearm instructors don't believe in accidents. I know I don't believe in accidents.
Right.
When I see the word accident come across the slide, I immediately no, I don't believe in accidents.
There was a video, and I know there have been other incidents, but there was a video where a firearms instructor, the guy he was teaching had his firearm pointed in a safe direction and his finger off the trigger, and the gun cooked and discharged the round and ejected the casing, and they reviewed the video. He did not have his finger on the trigger.
What killed him?
No, nobody got killed on the range.
It was a USPSA match, and that guy had a competition setup pistol, so I'm sure he was setting on about 10,000 hammer hooks. And when he let the slide go, the gun hammer followed the fire. Right? Yeah, it did.
So he had a what is it called? Oh, what is it called?
Slam fire.
Slam fire. Yeah.
So he had a slam fire, right?
Yeah. So I've had that happen. It's really common with 1911s, especially ones that people have been into that probably shouldn't have been into. 1911s. Yeah. Happens with CZs.
I'm going to chime in on this one. As far as accidents go. So I actually had a Taurus G2C. It was about 2 years ago.
On purpose?
Yeah. Did you shake it real hard and it went pow?
Not me. At the gun shop. So a gentleman came in and bought a Taurus G2C. Brand new, out the box. And he comes back the next day after he picks it up. All right. So he waited his obviously time frame, picks it up. Comes back the next day and was like, dude, there's something wrong with my gun. I'm like, what do you mean there's something wrong with your gun? He's like, I took it to the range, loaded it up. I pulled the trigger. It went full auto. I'm like, what? So I was like, all right, well, let's check it in. So I'm the gunsmith at the shop, you know what I mean? So I take it, and now I take it to the range. And lo and behold, loaded 12 rounds, pull the trigger, 12 runs kind of come out with one trigger pull. Essentially, that's an accident.
No.
That is an accident.
No,
for the customer,
that's a malfunction.
For the customer, that's an accident.
That's a malfunction. A malfunctioning gun is not an accident. That's a malfunction.
Well, if he accidentally shot somebody with it, it is.
But it still would have been a malfunctioning gun. It still would have been a malfunctioning gun.
But the overall incident would be an accident. The accident would have been caused by the malfunction of a gun.
So this is what I'm gonna say.
But if
You're
he had
going back to a
always followed the
hypothetical.
safety rules, it should have been pretty innocuous.
But this is what I'm saying. You're going back to a hypothetical. I'm specifically saying this. There's no such thing as firearm accidents. Your example was not an accident. It was a malfunction, which did not cause an incident, which would have been considered an accident. So
actually,
I'm still sticking to what
I'll say. Technically, he did get a cut, but that's because he wasn't prepared for a gun to go full auto.
So what I'm gonna say is this: I'm gonna still stick to my guns until I see otherwise. I don't believe in firearm accidents. I believe in negligence. A gun going full auto when it's not supposed to, malfunction. You pull the trigger, the gun goes click, you tap and rack, stoppage. You have finger on trigger and you go negligence. Because you have to be not, in my opinion, you have to be not following a safety rule to cause a negligent discharge.
Not necessarily.
I'm listening.
So you remember when that popular SIG pistol that everybody's carrying came out?
320, yeah.
Malfunction.
And
malfunction.
Yeah, but some people took rounds in the legs from a malfunction, so that would be an accident, correct?
So I'm gonna go look that up because I've never heard of anyone getting hit by the P320.
Oh, there's like 3 or 4 of them out there at least.
Yeah. On that.
Which, that's, I've carried them before. I've carried the updated versions, etc. But
we must have all malfunctioned.
See what I mean?
It's not.
It's a gun malfunction, not an accident. If the gun malfunctions and you get hurt, I'm not gonna call that company and say, "Hey, your gun accidentally shot me." Fuck your face. I'm suing you for negligence on preparing this firearm. I want this whole face.
But when you read about it, it's going to be there was an accidental shooting because nobody intentionally fired the gun.
Bruh, and you tell me one person who was shot by that SIG P320 who didn't get paid for an accident.
Oh, I'm not saying they didn't.
Exactly. If I get hit by a gun that malfunctions, I'm getting paid because your gun malfunctioned.
Yeah, but the shooting was accidental, was it not?
Shit.
So Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore too. That's a funny name on YouTube.
Very.
He said before, I hope it's a he or she, I don't know. Said before he handed a revolver that he had declared code to Alec Baldwin on the set of the film Rust, Dave Halls, an executive director, told a detective he should have inspected each round in each chamber according to the affidavit, but he did not. An original tweet read. So
right, now that was going to be another question I was going to actually ask Angela. So the term "hot and cold," how that reporter and
I'm out of cold bourbon, so I'm going to be right back.
Okay,
you know what I mean? How they defined hot and cold, is that actually correct?
Not on any sets I've been working on as far as firearms. No.
Okay, so obviously there's context there, you know what I mean, where they could change up the terminology based on what they want to do on that set.
I guess I've never heard anybody that's been in any of my circles even say it the way she explained it. I was actually super confused at what she was even saying.
So essentially she was saying a cold gun is a gun that hasn't been checked in a while.
Hasn't been tested.
Hasn't been tested.
Fired.
Yeah,
hasn't been tested.
I mean, check tested. I mean, we can go in any way, shape, or form as far as that. That's semantics. Because if you're checking a gun, you take it to a range and shoot it. Well, either way, you're still checking the gun. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's semantics at that point.
Right. I'm just going by the video.
But
right.
So a hot gun is something that has been checked, been to the range, whatever the case may be, and is deemed for whatever reason as being acceptable. which again doesn't make sense to me, because what defines acceptable? Because if I take it to a live range and I'm shooting at targets with live rounds, because we know that there's live rounds on the set, and now all of a sudden I say that there's blanks in it, how do I know, you know what I mean, the shit's safe?
Exactly. That's why when she started talking about that, I was with her up until that point, because everything she said was spot on for my experience, until she got to hot and cold. And then I was just like, what?
The one thing she did say that was true is that it depends on set to set.
Right.
Which would confirm what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, I've never heard the term hot and cold used in that context.
Not that context, no.
So for me, if I'm using, let's say I am out of my mind and I'm using a live firearm on set and it's loaded with dummy rounds, sure. If it's loaded and it's good to go with the dummy round, perhaps I guess you could say maybe it's hot and ready to go. But I believe at least what I've even read as far as this has gone, and again, this is hearsay, but for them on this set, cold means it's not live ammunition. So it's not going to kill anybody. Or it's just casings, because I believe, I don't remember exactly what I read, but it was like he had spun the drum, you said earlier, right? Drum?
It's the cylinder, but they said drum.
And he only saw like casings or something like that, but I don't know. I wasn't there. But yeah, to me, if it's cold, then it's completely empty and it's safe, 100%, no matter what. If it's hot, it has what is not ever going to be live ammunition, should never ever be live ammunition on set. And I've loaded it with whatever, dummy or sure, you're blank. And now it's hot and ready to go. You're set up to draw and swing it around your head, whatever you're supposed to do for your take. If this was him practicing, then yes, it should have been cold completely, in my opinion. So there should have been nothing. It should have been completely clear, because as you were saying, Mike, the other day, no matter how many times you're on the line and you're like, don't put your finger in the trigger well, when you pick up the gun, they'll still do it. Especially if they're not used to firearms. So if I'm showing him how to draw and how to maneuver with this firearm, it's never going to have anything in it until we're ready to shoot. So I don't know if they were actually doing a take or if they were practicing. They could be doing a complete dress rehearsal. And we'll do stunts and we'll do them completely. And then sometimes they will film the rehearsal just in case it looks really good. And then they'll use it. But most times it's, let's rehearse this 1 or 2 times, depending on what you're supposed to do. Or God knows, stunts 20 times. We'll rehearse this and then we'll go. And you'll do take after take. But yeah, if it was rehearsal, because I've seen now both. One said rehearsal, one said they were shooting. I don't know. But if it was indeed a rehearsal and he's learning how, because he couldn't figure out how to use the revolver, it should have been completely cold. Yes, empty. Nothing. So that's my take on cold and hot. And a few others' takes, but not hers, apparently. Hers didn't make any sense, because if I'm running, if it's a semi-automatic, if it's a Glock and I'm running like ammo through it to test it or to do whatever, I don't like that either, because then I need it to be completely clean. I need it to be 100% when I'm handing it to this person with something else that's going in it.
I don't want to have any kinds of buildup anywhere. I don't want anything, right? So I don't know what she was talking about. But that's me dotting my I's and crossing my T's because, again, the liability is so heavy and so huge and people's lives are at stake. So that's my take on hot and cold. And hers was, I guess, cool too. I don't know hers so much.
Yeah. So would it be fair to say, would it be fair to say that what we understand as cold versus hot, it could be said that Alec Baldwin understood the same thing, such as cold being nothing's in there and hot being something's in there, and he acted on the faith and trust that he had in his armorer when he pointed that firearm in a direction he was supposed to point, and he pressed it when he was supposed to press it because he was rehearsing within the context of a movie set.
I would say that depends. That depends, because did she hold a safety brief prior to this or that day saying that based off of these terms, this is what these terms mean?
You mean after she spun the drum?
Yes, after she spun the drum.
I think it was the AD who spun the drum.
He was like, I spun all them live rounds are all around. Spun them around.
So it's one of those that, you know what I mean? There is context in it based on, did she even have a safety briefing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
no one has said if she has it.
Right. If she's super green, I don't even know if she ran a safety briefing. I don't know, but the stunt coordinator,
there's another one,
would normally run the safety brief.
And according to the search warrant, a woman named Sarah Zachary, which is the first time I'm hearing that person's name, removed the guns from the safe in the truck after lunch and handed him the Gutierrez. So you've got the chain of custody allegedly from Zachary, from truck to Zachary, from Zachary. Why we should bring the truck in for questioning. I'm just kidding.
Here's my thoughts on the whole thing. If Alec Baldwin is not only the producer, maybe he's directing it, and his entire budget is $6 million, of which I'm guessing he's probably taking a $4 million cut. I bet they didn't even have sandwiches on that set, let alone a freaking safety officer.
You got to have crap.
That means
people
so
are
that means
walking
they were unsafe and hungry.
Probably. And from some of the other stuff
supposedly
I read, they weren't getting paid on time either. They were getting some rubber checks
Probably
and everything else.
too. They were probably dying of thirst because they were out in the freaking sun with no water.
Oh man, this just jumped off the track.
And
I'm sorry.
And again, I'm still waiting to hear it. There was 2 trigger pulls of that gun. Supposedly there was 2 trigger pulls.
Jeremy, and I'm going to go back to read your statement. Jeremy, I think we agree there.
And Mike's locked up.
Remixing.
Sorry. No, we're back. I think we all agree that there should never be any live rounds on the set. I agree with that. Yeah, that's definitely the case.
My favorite movie producer director of all time, and I take very little. I vest very little stock in like anything movie related when it comes to gun handling, tactics, marks, any of that stuff, right? But the one guy that I will say does an absolutely phenomenal over-the-top job is Michael Mann. And if you go back and you watch the film Heat, and you go into like the director's cut of Heat, and that has all the extras, he would actually go rehearse scenes with actors live fire at like Gunsight or one of these other ITTS, Scotty Reetz's place and all that, and make these actors go through these scenes with live ammunition and a coach, and then use prop guns on the set. And so consequently, if you watch a lot of like, not Miami Vice, but you watch the gun handling and stuff in those films, they're really good. So, I mean, that's just kind of my thing on Hollywood, but Michael Mann's kind of a gun buff too. Right. So, but that's one of his things is like putting like immersing these actors in actual live fire training and with real professionals and shooting real bullets, and then taking them to a set and having them do everything coordinated with blank fire. So I think, you know, that's about the only, I guess, director that, you know, if you've ever seen Collateral, that was one of his.
I was gonna say, but that's essentially, I mean, it wasn't necessarily the exact scenes, obviously, but like with John Wick and Halle Berry going out to Terran Tactical, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And working a lot of, you know what I mean?
What were you saying, Angela?
Yeah, Terran,
I think
he's amazing. He's amazing. And but it's also like, you know, to get a low budget film, I'm sure he would take Alec Baldwin, and like, you know, people like that, yeah, they'll come into the place and they've got plenty of money. But you know, it's also dependent upon the budget. Taking a whole cast to Terran Tactical, that's, you know, but even taking a whole cast to just any arms range, whatever, and running them through a whole class, it depends on the budget.
Right.
And what I was going to say is that, well, Angela hit it on the head. Everything, honestly, is about the budget. It's about the money, because there's one person who, for me, I think is an amazing director, and when it comes to safety, is an amazing person. And you might even know the name I'm about to say until I say it. Quentin Tarantino. This dude hires the most professional people all the time to do everything. If you've ever seen the movie Death Proof with the stunt cars, if you listen to his conversation he had with Joe Rogan on a podcast, the woman on the front of that car during that scene when she's holding on to the car, the Challenger, the white Challenger, I think. That's a real stunt woman who's playing an actress who that car did not go below 60 miles an hour. That car did not go below 60 miles an hour. The most it went was 90 miles an hour. And she was actually attached with a harness with a metal cord.
Right. Okay.
And there was an actor in the back seat holding the cord while she was doing the real stunt. He didn't have an actress pretend to be a stunt woman. He hired the stunt woman who did the stunts for Kill Bill to be an actress in a movie, to do that damn stunt, to be like, yo, you're a stunt woman. We're going to have you in this movie as a stunt woman, and there's going to be a stunt your ass is about to do. When Kill Bill, what's her name? Come on, man. The Kill Bill. Uma Thurman. Every up close scene was her. She did all the fighting. The stunt woman from the movie I just mentioned was her stunt woman. So literally, it's that budget. If you're not going to hire professionals to do professional shit that involves dangerous shit, you're going to have what you're going to have, which is I'm taking a picture and I'm shooting somebody.
Right. Now, what I think could happen, what I think would be a great idea, would be to make sure that every armorer is at least a firearms instructor under whichever umbrella you want. They tend to like NRA. So
cost me about $5,000. Yeah, they like NRA.
So, you know, I do think that would help. And then in which case, like, at least if I'm standing next to Alec, I can give him his own little mini firearms lesson. And at least I know what I'm talking about to a certain extent. Do I know that period revolver like the back of my hand? No, I don't. But Bryan, you know, I could go down and go, let me bring
you
Bryan.
Slide into my DMs. I'll be like, look, okay, is it a Colt or is it a Ruger?
Like, no, maybe in New Mexico. But it's that kind of thing that I think it'd be great for people like me and maybe you, to have
make sure that the people that are actually on there doing that kind of thing, at least in the bare minimum, have they're a certified or licensed firearm instructor, and they have their own insurance. And then on top of that, they're going to also bond you, but you're going to be on theirs as well. But I think that would be great, because then you don't necessarily have to take the whole cast to a live firing range, but at least you can walk them through the maneuvering. And I mean, as stunt performers, we do, like I teach stunt people how to maneuver with firearms. I prefer live, because then not only, yeah, you can throw the gun and do whatever, do flips and hold on to them, whatever, but being able to maneuver, and then also feeling that recoil and knowing how to move. Because, you know, if you're walking straight and your revolver's going up and down, or your long gun, and you're just kind of walking like normal, you don't understand what it means to have to keep a straight line and roll your feet when you're moving. Like, those little tiny things that can make a movie look so much better. Like, I think that would be awesome to have that on set. So like somebody that's the armor could have that kind of basic background,
Right.
instead of having to take the whole set for an outing and go to Taryn, who's a badass and amazing. But yeah, it's maybe not in the budget.
I'll even take it a step further from what you just said, Angela. Add proficiency. Hey, you want to be an armor on my movie? I have a proficiency test that I want to see you do. Show me how to clear a firearm.
Right.
Show
But
me how to
then
take this firearm apart.
Who's going to run the proficiency test? Not the director.
I guess I need to certify my own agency and say, we call this, whatever Hollywood certification of firearm safety, and just put my own stamp on it, and be a
There are a few of us that do it specifically for stunt people and specifically for movies. So I mean, yeah, like I don't know where you are, but
Oklahoma, which is
okay.
which is crazy, because we have a huge used to be a convention center, like a multi-use facility. It's massive. That they used to do concerts, basketball games, hockey games, and all this. And the city wound it down, built the Thunder a new facility, and they're actually turning it into a soundstage for, like, Lionsgate's been using it a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because production costs have gotten so high in other areas that this place has, it has like a full-size basketball court, hockey arena. I mean, everything there. And then all these sub rooms that they're turning into sound stages. And there's just been this influx of movie production here. So I don't know how to break into that market, but it's definitely on my radar. I've got some other local people that do a little bit of consulting work with them, but that's ultimately what inspired me to go to the NRA's basic course. Cause I was like, man, I had like a $5,000 contract and I'm not an NRA instructor. Thanks. Great. So,
yeah, you can go to the set of Rust. I hear they're looking.
Apparently they're on the look for a,
Too soon.
Yeah, a little too soon on that one.
Yeah.
Are you
For
trying
the
to
right price?
Are you trying to say
For
it's
the right price of $750, you can be the master armorer of Rust.
So
is that $7.50?
No,
Just saying, probably
down from 1,000.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. It's been it. This is the longest show now.
Oh
no, this is only 2.5 hours.
No, the last one I did, you guys kept me up till like 11:30.
We are not going to do that tonight, Brian. We are not going to do that tonight.
I appreciate it. I got to work again tomorrow, so
yeah, I know.
I got to pretend to enjoy police work for another 80-hour stretch.
Right. So that you don't get rusty.
Huh.
Rusty, that's terrible.
So funny.
I know.
No, Angela, I got one last question. Are you on track to do any films in Oklahoma, specifically Oklahoma City?
No, Atlanta's kind of where it's at right now. Atlanta, New Mexico, actually, Toronto,
and New Orleans
Yeah.
are big spots right now, in Texas.
Yeah, they're Oklahoma with that whole big soundstage project. They're trying to rob some of that from the Atlanta was the big rival
There's like
competitors.
over 50 productions right now here. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane in the state. Not only Atlanta, but yeah, I'm
Really, Christy?
Christy, we cannot get into Kyle at 10:30 at night.
Who's
We-
Kyle?
Kyle
Kyle
Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse.
Oh Lord, no, please God.
But you know what?
We
As
cannot
much
get
as I want to get into Kyle, we can't do it tonight. But I might do another live, so I could coordinate with y'all if y'all want to do it or just run him up. I don't care. But
So let's say this. Let's try this. Let's try this. If we talk about Kyle right now, we'll base it on two subjects. The judge dismissing the fact that they wanted to use the word victim.
And they can. It has to be looters or rioters.
Then it has to be loser riders, and the fact that they want to dismiss the use of force expert because
Black.
he's LEO.
Dr. Black.
If we only touch on those two things, we can be safe.
Yeah.
I don't even know who this person
You know
is.
damn well that
The judge is
will
awesome.
never stay on just those two subjects. So why are we even?
I'm saying
I agree.
If we can stay on those two subjects, we can roast.
It won't happen.
No,
It won't happen.
We got to do it another time.
Yeah, who's Kyle?
Sorry, Markis.
Kyle
Kyle
Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse.
Sorry.
The kid that shot the three people in Wisconsin, he was like 17.
Yes.
And he smoke checked a dude that was trying to hit him with a skateboard
Yep.
and then blew another
Oh.
dude's arm off and
And that's why we
angled it
can't.
pretty good. And then
He had a
killed
three-piece-
another guy that was trying to attack him.
Yeah, he had a 3-piece special.
He had a 3-piece
that's
with a
wrong.
wing.
Yep, he got the hat trick. He got the hat trick.
No, because the third one is just chicken winged.
It don't
Yeah.
matter. He still hit all three.
He was
The chicken wing don't count, dude.
he had some judicious marksmanship. I'll put it that way. I don't think
Right.
he missed anything he pulled the trigger on.
And trigger discipline, because out of a 30-round mag, he only shot 3 shots.
True.
Yep.
That's better than the Taurus. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well,
Let's-
Angela, are you friends with Mike on Facebook? I'll send you my contact card. That way, if you end up in Oklahoma City and you end up in one of those Charlie Foxtrot situations and need a consultant, I do have insurance and all the instructor licensure now.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Are we friends on Facebook, Mike? I'm not even sure. I know we're on Instagram.
On Instagram and TikTok, yeah. So I can still send the information to her.
Right. I was about to say, we all got insurance, and some of us got EP insurance too.
Ooh.
Because that one was fun.
Oh, I mean, I feel something. I feel a business coming on right now.
You got all 5 of us together? Shit, let's do it.
And I'm just.
Matter of fact, we'll call it.
You want to talk about a wrecking crew of freaking people?
I know. I'm telling you. I feel like I'm thinking my hamster's running.
We'll call it Never Rust.
Oh,
Oh God.
and that's how
Too
we're gonna
soon.
end it. Oh my God, that was a good one, Markis.
Who's it that? Who's
That was nice. That was actually pretty good. That was pretty good.
Is it over there?
Pretty decent.
That was a good one.
No, that was my evil twin. I don't know who said that.
Oh my God. All right. We're gonna be out of here. This is again another great show. Yep, even Chrissy enjoyed it. It's gonna be another great show. We'll talk about Kyle Rittenhouse because I sat there and actually listened through the motion hearings. And I will tell you this, it seems like they're gonna allow the use of force expert, Dr. Black. I think that the judge is gonna allow him. I heard the motions and the way that the judge has been asking certain questions. Dr. Black is very qualified to analyze the actions of Kyle
I'll
Rittenhouse.
chime in real quick on it. At the end of the day, it's gonna because he went to a jury trial,
Oh,
and so at the end of the day, you can bring in all the experts you want, but you are trying a case in the court of public opinion.
hey, tell that to OJ's jury.
Oh, I get it.
I'm
How
just
many
saying.
years ago was that? How many years ago was
Fair enough, but there have been other
social
cases.
status, social culture, social
Fair
climate.
enough, but there have been other cases where the evidence was strong, but the jury could have been convinced. So, this is going to be a good one.
Cash
Oh,
rules.
it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Absolutely. 1000%.
This one
I'm not
and
saying
Ahmaud
either
Arbery's
way.
case.
Cash rules.
I'm not saying either way. I'm saying it's going to be a lot harder now because, like I said, last time I checked, they were sticking with a jury trial.
Yeah.
That instead of just by doing it by judge, you're bringing in, you know what I mean, a court of your peers.
But this one is going to be fun to watch, and I'm going to tell you why. One, you're not dealing with a race component in Kyle Rittenhouse.
Not at all.
So you're not dealing with a component of.
You're not, but there's still people that are making it that way.
But that's going to be a hard stretch because all three of the victims were white males. And the alleged assailant is a white male. So
yes, but at the same time, it was just so happened
they're trying to make
people were the ones that made contact with them. There were other people's of color, not white, that were chasing him. And then when they seen that he started shooting,
they backed off.
They backed the fuck off because they grew up in the hood where shots get fired, you fucking duck and run.
But I recommend true. That's true. That's so true.
I'm sorry, I had to look.
Or so true. Or we.
I'm sorry. I got to throw a movie-ism out there.
Go
Did
ahead.
y'all see Lethal Weapon, the last one with Chris Rock?
Yeah,
where he talks about the floor.
Yep.
He learned to walk until he was like 15.
Yeah.
Yep.
All I thought about was that floor. Oh my goodness.
When you look at that, that's going to be totally different from the Ahmaud Arbery case where you have race as a component. And both of these cases are running neck and neck in terms of, Kyle Rittenhouse's case starts on November 1st. Ahmaud Arbery's, I believe, is a week later.
Shit. You know what? Did he freeze again?
Yes, he did.
Oh, bloody hell. If that's the case, if what he's saying is correct, that they're going to run almost parallel, this is going to be similar to what happened with George Zimmerman and the lady from Florida who shot warning shots at her husband.
Yeah, Marissa Alexander.
Yep. Because what happened was the Zimmerman case started first, then her case came out at the same time, and it became how come? No, we not. No, you're right. Let's stop it.
Stop it. Just stop it.
Yeah. We got to stop it. All right, y'all. We're out of here. Efuncatory. Looks like we're talking Rittenhouse. And he's here for the conversation, too. Right. All right. Rittenhouse next time. Ahmaud Arbery, too. Because those are interesting cases to talk about as it relates to self-defense. I'm for free, my boy Kyle. I'm sorry. I'm your shit. Kyle, we got to free Kyle. Kyle's got to be free. Free Kyle. Yeah.
Hey, we got to start doing catfish plates to go ahead and start getting his defense together. We got to start selling some butter cookies and some ice cream at the church.
Dude, his defense has already been paid for, bro.
No. We got to add more to it because cash rules everything, bro. So we got to get the catfish dinners out there. We got to get the 2-wing specials, some ice cream, some butter cookies. What else we got to get, man? We got to get Kyle up out there. So we got to get him all the food to start selling these plates so he can get this freedom.
You better break out some sharks.
Lemonpepper.com.
Bruh.
Look, we got to end this shit.
Lemon pepper. Get that lemon pepper, baby.
All right, y'all. Look.
With our mild sauce.
Come back next Wednesday. Here go Jacob, pop back in. Go to bed, goddammit. All right. We are out of here. Come back next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Bring you something to eat. Good conversation. Angela, you're always invited to come back. We always had these great conversations, and we just spin off and just have fun and shit. So I don't know if anybody trying to plug no business tonight. We've been letting that ticker go across the screen. That's good enough. Hey, y'all got the fucking number.
I do firearms movie consulting now, apparently. So
he's a master armorer.
And I'm his safe.
And I'm trying to
Markis and
find Mike Brown's TikTok.
Oh,
I'm
you gotta
doing
go. You gotta go to Yes Mike Said It. That's the name of it.
Oh, I don't have TikTok.
And
Yes, Mike said it.
Boom, there it is. I got
me,
you.
Markis and Mike handle all of the Chicago consulting and movie films.
There are movies. There is a whole stunt crew out in Chicago.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
we don't need to be a stunt crew. We just
557,000 followers. I got like
You said
4.
what?
I said, how you get 557,000 followers? I got like 4.
I've been blessed, and I've made some movies that have gone. I've made some videos that have gone viral.
See, he said movies. There we go. Boom, chicken, wow, wow. That's why Mike Said It is so popular, because he know that one couple of movies he did. Like, yeah, who said it? Mike said it.
Hey, I used to have a goatee like Mr. Markis, so
hey Mike.
So my nickname is Baby Arm. What the fuck? What? Baby Arm? What you talking about?
Savage.
Sorry, Angela. These guys.
That's it.
I'm don't worry, I'm very much used to it.
Right.
She's a stunt woman.
Hold on, here we go. Savage, Johnson size, average. We're ending with that. Look at Bryan. hold on. These comments are not the comments of Bryan.
Are you guys still streaming?
Yes, we are.
No,
let me know when you're done streaming, and we'll just go into the waiting room for a minute.
Let's get out of here. Y'all come back Wednesday, 8:00. Bye.